Everybody, this is the day. It is the day that the Lord has made, but I don't know how much the Lord is in it. A lot of what's going on. Welcome to America Fights Back. This is the Super Show. This is myself, the great Don Lemon, the great Jim Acosta. So proud to be here with them. Live streaming on all of our channels simultaneously. It is revolutionary. And let me throw it right to my buddy Don Lemon. Don, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here with the best in the business. We've got a lot of folks here. We're going to get to Jim Acosta, our great Jim Acosta, in just a minute because he's near the White House. Michael Fanone is in Leesburg, Virginia. But I want to get straight now to Jolly, who's in the field. Jolly, you're near the White House, and there's some action going on. What's happening right now?
So at first, it was real quiet. It didn't seem like there was going to be a protest here. And then almost out of nowhere, several hundred, I would say 500-600 people minimum, materialized down what used to be Black Lives Matter Plaza and marched all the way up to the White House. If you look at the fence behind me, I'll show you. The fence right here is actually around the White House. And this crowd marched up to the White House. It looks like they've got planned speakers. There's people speaking right now.
Can you do a horizontal for us, please?
What's that?
Can you turn the camera horizontal for us?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
You got it. And so we got speakers speaking. We got a pretty large crowd. Security responded pretty quickly to it. I don't think they were planning on having anybody here. And so this is all around the White House. It's pretty large crowd. Somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people easy.
All right. Jim Acosta, our other co-host today. Jim, take it away. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I might be pretty close to where Jolly is. I am right next to St. John's Church. I'm standing right by Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. We're just outside the fencing that's gone up around the White House complex, basically. We're outside Lafayette Square, where you saw those George Floyd protests and the cranked up, batshit crazy response from the Trump administration during his first time in office, when they fired tear gas, when they fired chemical bullets on the crowd during that time. We're basically in the same area. And as Jolly was just saying, I mean, I think there were a lot of people who were hoping there wouldn't be a lot of protests in D.C. today, but this is Washington, D.C., folks. And of course, they are going to show up. And so, as you can see behind me, there are, as Jolly was saying, probably hundreds of people in this portion of Lafayette Square that has not been fenced off by the Trump administration. But I mean, just over to the side, you can see, we just moved the camera around over here, this fencing that goes up all around Lafayette Square, all around the Andrew Jackson protest, or statue, I should say. You remember that from the last time around, guys, when there were concerns that the protesters might topple the Andrew Jackson statue. But basically, you know, you're starting to see some of the signs starting to show up. Here's one right here that says, Americans Fighting Tyranny, 1776, 2025. Here's another sign that says, cowards in Congress, do your job, rein in your king. There's a lot of protests down here. Obviously, I mean, we should mention at the top, this is also the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. We commend all of the folks in the armed services for their service. But as you guys know, we've been talking about this for days. Donald Trump has tried to co-opt all of this and make this part of his dictator birthday bash. And that is what has fueled these protests. And I think this is just the beginning. If this is only 3 o'clock right now, Joy and Don, imagine what this is going to be like over the next several hours. I suspect that this is going to keep building and building. And the question is going to become how the authorities respond to all of this, because I suppose they were planning for it. But we just don't know how big this is going to get, because this was not anticipated. The Indivisible folks were saying, hey, don't protest in D.C., go to places like Philadelphia and so on. But D.C. being D.C., you had to expect that folks were going to come down here, guys.
Thank you so much, Jim. I want to throw this in, bring in Michael Fanone, who is also standing by. You can see him up in the upper part of your screen, because I think the point that Jim made is really important. DC has been the source of a lot of anxiety and anguish in our lives since January of 2021, and really since before that, when Donald Trump has used these spaces to aggrandize himself. In one case, holding a Bible upside down in the Capitol, trying to sort of make himself look like he's some, the sort of leader of a military junta, and then of course the January 6th insurrection, which you were unfortunately very much involved in. Talk about the vibe there in DC today, when people are there to declare we do not have a king, but Donald Trump is going to throw what sure looks like a Kim Jong-un style military parade later today.
So Joy, I'm actually in Leesburg, Virginia. I'm at the the courthouse here. And I got to tell you, because where I'm at right now doesn't do it justice. So I'm going to take you guys around. There is easily 4,000 plus people here, and they are fired up. And I've been talking to folks here, a lot of veterans, a lot of federal workers that lost their jobs. Everyone is pissed off. Everyone is angry about this administration. They're angry about the abuses of power. They're angry about Donald Trump trampling on the Constitution, and they are mobilized, and they are ready to go to work. So let me give you guys an overview of this. I'm going to be on the 2 months to be into everything that I'm to be.
I think Michael's sound is breaking up there. Michael, we're going to give you a pause for a minute. Keep those pictures coming, but the sound is not sounding. So let's go back. Don, should we go to Jim Acosta and see what he's looking at?
Yeah, Jim, take it away. What do you have for us out there where you are? Jim is muted. You're muted, sir. There you go.
I know. Well, we're workshopping this, right? It's a community effort. It's people power, people coming together. The cast of thousands, maybe minus 995 or something like that. But no, Joy, you were just mentioning where Donald Trump held up the Bible. That's literally at the church that's across the street from where I'm standing right now. I mean, that's literally where we're standing right now. So just to set the scene, and this is why I was saying earlier, you had to expect that protesters were going to show up down here. That's literally where Trump did his dictator part 1 moment back in the first Trump administration, where he held the Bible upside down. I don't think he's going to be doing that today. They've got him inside the freedom cages, as I like to call them. But we're down in Lafayette Square, and if we just turn around over here, I mean, you can see people already starting to gather in this park, and it is only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You've got this sign right here: Trump, rapist, fascist, coward. I mean, this is just beginning right now. There's a sign over here that says "No to Trump's fascist military parade." This was to be expected. Obviously, the No Kings rallies are taking place all over the country. It's a wonderful expression of people's First Amendment rights to free speech and so on. But here in the nation's capital, people have been pissed off. And Joy, you were just mentioning this a few moments ago. You've had thousands of federal employees laid off, doged by Elon Musk and his minions. You have, whole agencies like USAID shut down. Those federal workers are pissed off. I mean, let's just be honest here. They're pissed off and they want to make their voices heard. So it stands to reason you're going to see all types of folks down here protesting today. You're going to see folks who are just generally anti-Trump type folks. You're going to see a lot of veterans down here. There are a lot of veterans who don't like the idea of Donald Trump co-opting the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army to sort of put on this Kim Jong-un style military parade birthday bash. And then you're just gonna have regular folks showing up.
Every single person here.
I want to get now Jolly, who's not far from where Jim is. Jolly, I see you. Is that a veteran? You have someone with you, right?
Yes. Jim brought up veterans. This is one of the veterans who stormed the Capitol steps last night and actually was arrested, spent 10 hours in Capitol Police custody, was zip-tied, denied water, all for a simple act of nonviolent civil disobedience.
Yeah, hi, my name is Matthew Gordon. I'm a United States Marine Corps combat veteran deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan in support of OIF and OEF. I came out yesterday, wanted to go and protest against what I'm seeing here happening in our country with this fascist takeover of the United States by Donald Trump, the Heritage Foundation, Peter Thiel, tech billionaires, and I wanted to do it in a way that was going to be meaningful, and I wanted to do it in a way that was going to be peaceful. And so when we went up to the steps, we sat down, started chanting, and were peaceful the whole time. And that was important to all of us, was to say that veterans are not just out here supporting Donald Trump. Veterans are out here supporting the Constitution. We're out here fighting for the American people still. You know, I'm not as lean, I'm not as mean as I was when I was in the Marines, but I'm going to keep doing what I do anyway. And I'm not going to stop until we fix this country for everybody and not just Donald Trump and his tech bronies.
Hey, Jolly, we're showing some of the video last night of you
work on this, or should I take these off?
Arrested last night. Can you hear me, Jolly?
I can hear you a little bit loud here. What'd you say?
We're showing some of the video last night of the folks like him being arrested. What
Minnesota,
happened to
and you
him
saw what
last
happened
night?
there
Tell
this
us,
morning.
tell us what they did. Did they detain him? Where did they go? What happened?
Yeah, so we were
Oh, it's your
detained
hometown.
probably about
Wow.
2000 last night,
Well, hey, what's your name?
and moved to a kind of like a motor pool where they had their vehicles for the Capitol Police staged. We sat in this kind of warehouse-esque area on pull-out chairs, zip tied, no water, no food, for about 10 to 12 hours last night. They released us yesterday or early this morning. God, I don't even know what day it is. Early this morning with charges. Some of us got charges for crossing a police line. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, we were detained for about 10 to 12 hours by the Capitol Police, zip tied the entire time, and we're talking everybody from 30 years old all the way up to 82 years old.
Hey, Jim, who do you
Can
have
we
with
really
you?
quickly go back to Jim Acosta, Don, because it looks like he's got somebody else to talk to as well. To stay there, Jolly Good Ginger. We're coming back to you, but let's go to Jim.
Sorry, Jolly. I'll throw it back to you as soon as I can. I'm with Sam. Sam was in the U.S. Army. You're now out of the military, and you're from Minnesota.
That's right.
And you came all this way to be a part of this protest today. Is that basically it?
Yes.
And you were just telling me a few moments ago, you're a little bit shaken up, a little bit in shock because of what took place in your state, in your hometown.
Yep.
Earlier today. Can you talk about that?
Of course. I grew up in Champlin, Minnesota.
Have him get closer to you, Jim.
Can you guys hear it? Can you hear Sam?
Yeah, we're having a little bit of an audio problem there.
How about that? Can you hear him now? Can you Sam say that again?
Oh, I was just saying I grew up
Perfect.
in Champlin.
Yeah.
In 2000. It's
Jim, we can't hear him.
He can't hear you, Jim.
Yep, Sam was
can't
just,
hear
okay.
him.
We'll try to work that out. Sam was just saying he didn't realize he would be from a hometown that was the scene of a political assassination. And Sam was just telling me a few moments ago that he came down here to protest because he can't believe that Donald Trump basically would take over what is supposed to be an anniversary for the U.S. Army, which you were a part of.
exactly.
Yeah. And so what do you think's going on in this country right now? What's your sense?
I think it's a symptom of his.
Yeah. It's going to be tough with the AirPods out there.
It's going to be tough.
When there's a lot of noise
And Don,
around.
if I could just update the audience and those of you who have not had the television on today, there were two state representatives or two state officials in Minnesota, and one of their spouses, both of their spouses who were shot, two are dead. Representative Melissa Hortman, who used to be the Speaker of the Minnesota House, and Senator John Hoffman were both shot. The authorities say these were targeted shootings. Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, were both killed. Senator John Hoffman and his wife are undergoing treatment in the hospital. And we should note that the man who came to the doors of both of these officials was dressed as a police officer, had a car that was made up to look like a police vehicle, shot both of them, fled from the second house, got into a firefight with police. And according to officials, there was a hit list found in his car that also named the No Kings parade as well, or the No Kings protests, and also names abortion providers and apparently some other politicians. And so for that reason, Minnesotans were being asked to not attend the No Kings protests in their state. We're not sure if they're going to follow advice, but that is the update on that news. And let's just see if Jim can get his guest back.
Yeah. And Mike Walls, I just want to say before we get back to Jim, stand by. Let's play what Mike Walls had to say, and then we'll get back to Jim and Michael Fanone and Jolly. Our teams are out in the field. Here's Governor Walls.
We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota. My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa and her husband, Mark, were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination. Our state lost a great leader, and I lost the dearest of friends. Speaker Hortman was someone who served the people of Minnesota with grace, compassion, humor, and a sense of service. She was a formidable public servant, a fixture and a giant in Minnesota. She woke up every day determined to make this state a better place. She is irreplaceable, and we've been missed by so many. Minnesota's thoughts and prayers are with her family, her loved ones, her children, and her parents. My prayers.
So that was Governor Mike Walz earlier today. What a tragedy that this turned out to be, Joy. Let's see if we can go on.
Very quickly, before we jump back to Jim, I apologize. I just have an update from NBC News. There's an update that the suspect in the Minnesota lawmaker shootings has been identified as 57-year-old Vance Belter, Boelter, according to 3 people familiar with the investigation. That's just an update that's coming through right now. We'll keep you all updated as these go on. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah. Back to Jim, our other co-anchor out in the field, handling the field anchor duties today like a pro.
Brilliantly.
Jim, what do you have for us?
No, I mean, listen, we were going to be live in a nearby hotel. I won't mention the name.
Did they kick you out, Jim? Were you doing something crazy?
They didn't kick me out. I've been kicked out a lot of places. That did not happen yet. But we might go back up there later, depending on how things go. But
Jim, we have time to hear the story of why you were kicked out. So if you want to share that with all of our viewers, we're happy.
We don't have time for that. It's no King's Day. There's a lot of important stuff to talk about. But I mean, I would tell you, we're also seeing some MAGA supporters down here, some Trump supporters down here. There was a guy who was, I've got my photographer, Zach, with me right now. This guy was like standing right next to me a few months ago, and it was sort of like he was listening in. So I don't know what that was all about. But, you know, my concern is at this point is that we do have a little bit of a mix of different types of things going on down here. And hopefully this is all going to stay peaceful. I mean, you can hear the protests going on right now. Let's walk in a little bit closer. There's a protest going on right now. You can hear speakers starting to go. I don't want to go too close and mix up the audio again. But I mean, I would just tell you right now, so far, this is peaceful. People are behaving themselves. They're making their voices heard, no question about it. But I wouldn't say there's anything happening here that's out of the ordinary. But I will tell you, I see some of my friends my old friends in the White House press corps who were staged down here. I have to assume, just in case, Joy and Don, you know, the thing starts to get unsettled. And we don't want that. We want this to be peaceful and all of that. We encourage people to be peaceful, but you just have to assume when Trump takes over a military ceremony like this, like the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army, and people are seeing tanks. We just remember, Don and Joy, just the other day, we saw a video of tanks rolling into D.C. That's going to piss people off. People are going to say, what is going on in this country? You got the U.S. Marines in L.A., you got tanks rolling into Washington. It sounds bananas. And so obviously people are going to get pissed off about it. But if you spin this around over here, guys, you can see you have a protest gathering here in Lafayette Square, the same place roughly where we saw the George Floyd protests break out in 2020. I was here at the White House at that time, and it doesn't take a whole lot, guys, for it to get a little messy down here. We hope for the best, obviously hope for the safe peaceful. If you can see right here some of the signs: money for veterans, not parades. America has no king. America needs no king. Your oath is to the Constitution. And this is up against these fences. These fences went up around the White House perimeter and Lafayette Square in the last 48, 72 hours. And it brings me back to when I was covering the White House the first time around, guys, because, I mean, you know, it is something about Donald Trump. It is something about Donald Trump where they have to fortify the White House complex so he can act like a dictator inside. And it happened the first time around, and it's happening again. And that's why you're seeing these people showing up. People are upset. They want to make their voices heard. And honestly, I mean, how can you blame it? You know, this is America in 2025 right now, guys.
Yeah, right on, Jim.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Can we go back to Michael Fanone? I mean, and these are some great points to make, Jim. And I want to go back to Michael because he is talking with some of the people who are exactly what you're talking about. People who are going to be pissed off by seeing those tanks, and they're having to deal with it. And of course, Virginia, one of the places they had to unmothball some
Thank you.
tanks from and roll them across bridges to get them into DC because normally there aren't tanks in DC. Michael, let's see if we got your audio back. Who are you talking to?
So right now we've got some speakers, but I'm just intermingling through the crowd. Can you guys hear me?
We got
Yeah,
you.
you're good.
Okay, yeah. So I'm in Leesburg, Virginia. I don't know if you guys caught that before, but
Yep.
I actually gave some remarks earlier. Like I said, there's a good sized crowd here, about 4,000 plus. They've been here en masse since about 2 o'clock this afternoon. And I believe this event is supposed to continue on until 4. But we've got a great mix of veterans pissed off about Trump's, the way they phrased it was his military exploitation parade. And there are a lot of fired federal workers and just average everyday Americans who are deeply concerned about what they see as a misuse and abuse of Trump's authority and of his power and his administration's power. As far as counter protests, there were probably about maybe 2 or 3 agitators, but they have been drowned out despite their best efforts by the raucous cheers and chanting of this crowd. Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, we appreciate that. We need leaders like you. That's quite example. Thank you. Thank you. Okay? Thank you very much.
What did he say? We need more people like you?
Said they need more people like me. He's got to sign up. No one is above the law. And I assume
Amen.
you're referring to hands off democracy. What was your name, sir?
We have counter protesters.
Jose?
Looks like we got some counter protesters here.
Very nice to meet you, sir.
Hey, are you here? Are you here? Are you here? Are you here to counter protest the protest?
Jolly, what do you have?
I'm here for a military parade
You're here
to
for.
honor our army.
Okay, but hang on. Question.
People
But
here.
question. If you're here to honor the army, why are you carrying a flag that says Trump?
Because Trump is the president of the United States.
But that's not the army. But Trump's not the army.
Twice. Oh, that's your big word. Go ahead and explain. Tell me how he's a fascist, mister. Tell me how he's a fascist. You're an idiot.
But if you're here to support the army, why are you carrying a flag that says Trump on it?
Because I love President Trump. I love what he's doing for our
You
country.
love a president?
I sure do. I've loved many presidents.
Like, name another one.
I voted for him.
Name another one you
I'm an
love.
insurrectionist too. How about that?
You were in January 6th?
I sure was.
What was your role at January 6th?
As a patriot, announcing how the whole election was rigged, and we've all come to fruit that it weren't we?
We were not. What did you do at January 6th?
I was there with my granddaughter listening to the President of the United States speak. That's what I did.
Yeah, but you said you're an insurrectionist. What does that mean?
Right, because the FBI came to my front door even though I never stepped foot on the Capitol. How about that? Because I post a picture of me and my granddaughter in front of the Capitol. I have FBI at my front door.
Do you believe you had a right to be there and protest?
Well, I wasn't. Yes, I had. Of course.
So do you believe these people here today have a right to be here and protest?
And you have the right to counter-protest if you want.
Right, so I'm just wondering why you're carrying a flag that says Trump on it.
I've already told you 3 times. Come up
You
with
love
another
him?
question.
No, you
Come up
haven't
with another
sufficiently answered
intelligent
it.
question. Get out of my face.
Jolly. Jolly. Can you hear me, Jolly?
I can hear you, yeah.
You asked her if there was another president she loved, and she did not name one.
She could not name one, correct.
Do you have any other folks out there you want to question? If you want to go back to her, or are you done with her?
Well, I'm going to kind of keep an eye on her because it looks like the crowd's not very happy with her being here. She's solo counter-protesting here. She's the only counter-protester I see. Actually, there might be a second one now. Let me go over here and find out. Let's go look at this. Hang on.
Please do. Keep walking. And while you're doing that, Jolly Good Ginger, and it is really fun being on with you, by the way, I will note that in the definition of fascism, for those who are tuning in to This America Fight joint podcast between Jim Acosta, Don Lemon, and myself, cult of personality, fascist regimes cultivate images of their leaders as great figures to be loved and admired. This cult of personality is often perpetuated through mass media and propaganda. So loving the leader of your country is different from being patriotic towards your country. Loving the leader, that's definitional fascism. Just wanted to point that out.
And really just ultra nationalism at that, Joy. Joy, I just want to tell the folks, listen, folks, if you're watching on, we have you on socials. If you're watching on TikTok, if you're watching us on Instagram or Facebook, this is it. If you want to continue,
are you seriously putting up?
You have to go over to YouTube or you have to go over to Substack. Okay, so this is the end for socials. Come to YouTube or Substack, and you're going to continue our coverage. Jolly, what do you have for us?
Hey, it's going down over here.
Are you literally co-opting the POW flag? Are you seriously co-opting the POW flag for January 6th insurrectionists? Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah, I know, it's working.
So what happened was she pulled out, to give you a back brief, she pulled out a flag that was the POW MIA flag, but in place of POW, they had put J6, and several of the veterans that were standing around became inflamed by the idea that you're comparing J6 insurrectionists with, oh God, the crowd's moving. Let's go catch them.
Yeah, please catch him. And Jolly Good Ginger, was the gentleman you're talking with, that's Angry Veteran on TikTok, right?
Joanne, you're correct. It's USMC Angry Veteran. He was arrested last night in the crowd. He's also one of the ones that was inflamed by the flag. This guy looks like he's arguing with Matt, USMC Angry Veteran.
Yeah.
How interesting that
That's what you're doing.
we thought the unrest would be from anti-Trumpers, and it turns out they're pro-Trumpers.
So basically what you're witnessing here, just in case you can't tell through the chaos, the lady I was talking to who had the Trump flag, she seems to have maybe a son or a nephew or something with her who also was working or looking to agitate the crowd. The crowd's now basically chasing them out of the area. Now let me clarify, they're chasing them peacefully. We're simply giving them a counter to their rhetoric. But they're practically running. We got park police now showing up to escort them out. And it now seems that they've kind of broken through. I don't know the other guy with them, but so they're gone now. And I'll keep you up to date if anybody else comes through.
Let's bring in now. Thank you. Let's bring in now Jim Acosta. Jim, we have Olivia Troy and Glenn Kirshner here.
Yeah, we're in the same area as where this protest was going down just a few moments ago. This flash. So I can see Jolly right over here. He was right on top of this. But I can tell you when I was.
I need you to eat that mic.
Jolly a few moments ago, when I was right up next to these guys. It was starting to get mixed up a little bit between the pro-Trump protesters who were here and obviously the No King's Day protesters who were here. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Washington D.C. at this part, and this stuff is already starting to go down, I think the authorities have to start paying attention to this area, and protesters have to be concerned about this area. There's Jolly right there. But listen, I'm telling you guys right now, I've been in this area before. I was in this area during the protests that took place when the Trump administration cracked down on them with tear gas and rubber bullets and so on. I would not be surprised if you see over the next couple of hours, Park Service, Park Police trying to clear some of this area out because it's already starting to get a little messy down here. That you just talked to Jolly was talking. Yes. Oh, January 6th insurrection, pro-Trump protester. They're starting to get around her and start talking to her about what she was saying. So I'm just letting you know we're starting to see both sides here. Kind of not using for both sides.
Hey Jim, can you hear me?
Afterwards,
Jim, can you hear me? Jim, can you hear me? I guess he can't hear me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim Acosta, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, just when you use that mic, I need you to eat it like right in your mouth, man. Just so we could hear you. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Thank you. Hey, Jim, we have some guests that you wanted, as a matter of fact. Olivia Troy and Glenn Kirshner are here, and they can talk about, I mean, Olivia knows all about national security. Glenn knows about the law, what will happen to these people if they do end up causing skirmishes, where will they go? Olivia and Glenn are here. Jim, go ahead.
Let me go.
Jim, we're losing you.
You're losing me? Can you hear me now?
I think your signal. It might be your signal. Maybe take a little bit of a walk just so we can see if we can get you in a cleaner signal. Try again.
So, Glenn, Let's bring Glenn in, and let's bring in Olivia Troy because we can't hear Jim. Glenn, Olivia, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. You're a national security expert. Olivia, Glenn, you are a master of the law. We've got two sides clashing here. What are the possibilities? Olivia first.
Well, I think my concern is that the Trump administration wants this, right? They've set up the optics for this. They want to see clashes like this happen. But look, I can tell you, I'm at the No King rally in Virginia, and it is nothing but American flags here, no King's chants, pro-democracy, vets attending. I've got retired generals on stage speaking about the power of standing together and what's happening across our country. So I think this is proof. There's more than 1,500 people here right now, and we're in Northern Virginia. And so I think this is proof that there is the power of the people and that we're going to stand together.
Glenn, can you talk a little bit about, I mean, we know that Donald Trump is deploying the military at the same time they're claiming that they are celebrating the Army today, but he's deploying U.S. Marines and National Guard against the will of the governor of California. Can you just describe the Posse Comitatus Act so that people can understand what are the legalities of deploying the military into civilian populations in the United States? You're muted.
It ain't legal because you cannot use the military to enforce civilian law. And I don't care what they say about how little the military will do when they're out there, you know, in tandem with ICE agents who are running through fields trying to grab up undocumented folks who we all know by and large are paying taxes. They're paying into Social Security. They're paying into Medicare. They're paying into unemployment. And that's money they will never see. Those are benefits they will never see. So this is a special kind of insanity. But the Posse Comitatus Act says the military cannot be deployed to enforce civilian law. And any way you cut it, that's what they are doing when they are standing there and either emboldening or participating with ICE agents and other federal officers to do what? Enforce civilian law. But let me say something else, Joy, because as a prosecutor in D.C. for 24 years, I worked protest cases. And what happens when people get arrested? Those cases get presented to us, the prosecutors, and we have to make the decision what to do. And let me tell you, in 90% of the cases, don't quote me on that fact, but over the years, I think that's a fairly accurate number. 90% of the cases, there are no paper, no charges brought, because it's very difficult to make cases in the setting of arrests that are made during a hectic protest, sometimes devolving into a riot. We still need proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, if somebody's busting store windows, looting, setting things on fire, assaulting officers, and they shouldn't do that because this should always remain peaceful, we may be able to bring those cases and prove them in court beyond a reasonable doubt. The only reason I say this, Joy, is because I've been urging, you know, we're out here at the Loudoun County rally. I was here with my friend Mike Fanone. We both addressed the crowd, and we urge everybody, be peaceful. And this may be counterintuitive, but if a law enforcement agent applies force to you, tries to flex cuff you, don't resist, don't fight back. It's hard because our adrenaline surges, and that's what causes problems, including in officer excessive force cases. But you know what? It's probably going to work out. These cases are probably not going to be papered. No charges are going to be brought. The only caveat I'll say, Joy, is that with, you know, U.S. Attorney Pirro, maybe all bets are off, because I'm not confident she will be exercising sound prosecutorial discretion. But first and foremost, don't fight, don't resist, but speak up and speak out, and do not let them silence you or intimidate you into not exercising your right to speak and your right to assemble.
Can I just stay with you for a second, Glenn? For one quick, we did see that the gentleman I follow on TikTok, who's known as U.S. veteran, former Marine, was arrested yesterday, and a group of veterans, about 60 apparently, were arrested in D.C. We also saw the senior senator from California, Alex Padilla, not arrested but detained when trying to question Kristi Noem. What I would say to that, Glenn, is that in the past, in the 1960s, people who were doing civil rights protests took months of training in order to learn how to do what you're saying, in order to learn how to take brickbats and get spat on and get hurt. and get arrested violently and not resist. And that was something that they were trained to do. A lot of the people that are out here protesting for No Kings, they are not trained activists. They have not had that kind of training. How do we talk to people about how to emulate what they're trying to emulate, but to do it in a way that doesn't give Trump the pictures and the visuals he wants in order to trigger the Insurrection Act?
It's a great question, Joy. And let's be honest, there will be pockets of violence. There will be folks out here who are legitimately protesting, exercising their constitutional rights. But there will be violent incidents and clashes. And what we need to remember is that as the judge in California just said in ruling against Donald Trump's seizure of the California National Guard, that just because a few protesters or a small fraction of the people out here exercising their constitutional rights might engage in violence, might break the law, guess what? It does not deprive the rest of us, the overwhelming majority of us, who continue to get to exercise our First Amendment rights. But all I can say is, Joy, listen, I've been in tough spots. I was in the Army. I was in a federal prosecutor. Adrenaline surges are very real and are very hard to tamp down when you experience them. And you're right. One of the reasons, Joy, we don't let the military engage in civilian law enforcement is because they're not trained to deal with those situations. It's a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe for the feds to run roughshod over our constitutional rights.
Amen.
Glenn, thank you for that. And Joy, I just want to tell everyone, this is the power of independent media. You're watching now America Fights Back with Joy Reid, Don Lemon, and Jim Acosta. Along with us, you have the great Clint Kirshner, Olivia Troy, and also jolly good gingers with us, Michael Fanone as well. Jim, I understand. I know that specifically, you had questions for Olivia Troy. You said, make sure we get Olivia Troy on this show.
Yeah. Well, no, and by the way, we've gone back into the crowd here. I just want to point out there are American flags here. The other day, Trump and his people were trying to say they don't have American flags at these protests. Case in point, right here, we have American flags at this No Kings protest outside the White House. And remember, on January 6th, they were carrying Confederate flags. They were carrying Trump flags like the insurrectionist lady who was here a little while ago talking to Jolly. So I just wanted to point that out. But I did want to ask Olivia, because I thought she made a really good point a few moments ago. I was able to listen, even though my audio got a little hinky. Olivia was making the point that Donald Trump wants a confrontation day. This is why Glenn was making these very important points a few moments ago and saying, you have to be careful in the way you react to law enforcement moving you out of a situation. Glenn's very right about that. But Olivia, your thoughts on that, because you and I were talking about this on the show the other day. I think that they might even be watching this right now. I'm sure they're watching the coverage right now, and they want a confrontation so they can go and crack some skulls like they did before.
Yeah, no doubt that they are. But what I would say is that if something happens, don't engage and just cooperate. But I'm going to say this right now. I am not seeing people that are aggressive here. I want to focus on that because I feel like a lot of coverage in the past week, national media was covering on violence. I'm sitting here in a crowd of 1,500 people who are standing neck and neck with each other with all these amazing signs. Only butterflies should be monarchs, they're kings. I've got, we don't need yes men, we need strong women. I've got Donald Trump is wrong. And I mean, there's all these immigration signs here. So I just want to focus on the fact that Trump wants to focus on the bad optics. He wants to bait people because they want to use that footage to push their law and order narrative. And I'm telling you this because I lived it in the White House firsthand in 2020, where that was all a manufactured thing. And they're doing it again. It's the same playbook that they played the first time around. And so I think it's important for us to say, we're actually here exercising our First Amendment rights, which, by the way, as someone who came up through conservative Republican politics, I strongly believe in, but I believe in the First Amendment rights for everyone, not just when it's convenient. And so I think that is critical here today.
Yeah. And our cherished First Amendment rights are on display right now. And if you take out what we saw a little while ago where that one lady was, mixing it up with some of the Kings protesters here, this is very much by and large a peaceful, just very calm, very orderly protest. People are making their voices heard. But that's democracy in action. That's what this is all about. That's what people should be able to do in this country. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Olivia. And I Joy and Don, I've been talking about this, and Glenn can chime in on this too. One of the reasons why Trump is doing this, he's trying to incite and provoke, is because he has no wins right now. As I've been saying for days, where are the wins, Donald Trump? You have no wins. You've been in office since January 20th of this year. You have no wins. You have no legislative wins. The only thing you can do is manufacture what you believe to be wins by cracking down on immigration and terrorizing Latino people in this country, by rounding up abuelas and mixed status families and sending out of the country perhaps somebody who's undocumented, who is a mother with a child who is a U.S. citizen. To Stephen Miller and Donald Trump, those are the wins. And so to Olivia's point, they think they can get a win on Fox and all the other bullshit places that they peddle their stuff if they can get a crowd so mixed up, so riled up that things go into disarray and the police have to come in. He wants those optics playing out on the national networks. He wants those optics going out all over the world because he believes, and I know this because I covered him, he thinks when he responds to those things, that's a win for him. And so I think, Glenn Kirshner, what you were saying a few moments ago is so important. It is the whole ball game when it comes to No King's Day. People have to keep peaceful. People have to stay focused. As I was saying earlier today when I was previewing this is just the beginning. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Donald Trump is not going to be deposed today. He's not going to be dethroned today on No King's Day. So keep in mind, the way you behave today could very much affect the headlines and the narrative that they play on Fox and all these other places moving forward. I think the point, Don and Joy and Glenn and Olivia, of today is to perhaps show the country and even folks in MAGA world that there is another way in this country. You don't have to go down the road of the dictator. You don't have to go down the road of the king.
It is such a great and perfect point, Jim, because if you want to talk about the lack of wins, the tariff policy was a bust to the point where Donald Trump is being mocked on Wall Street as Taco. Trump always caves on tariffs. When you look at foreign policy, Israel has launched strikes against Iran, and Marco Rubio is saying we didn't know anything about it. And which means that our closest military ally is acting without giving a heads up, maybe getting a heads up to the Trump administration, but ignoring their apparent advice that we've heard reported not to attack Iran. The world is going on without the United States. Countries around the world are figuring out how to reconfigure their economies without us in them. Canada has told us to F off when it comes to tariffs. I could go on.
Yeah.
And I'm losing my feet.
And he
doesn't
have his big beautiful bill. What happened? Doesn't sound
well,
like that.
And we are reconfiguring our own economy here. Look at what's happened to the stock market, and look at what's happening to the economy here. Glenn, do you want to weigh in on what Joy or Olivia, because Olivia's
and Olivia for sure, because you worked with the guy.
Yeah. No, I think one thing that I'll also wanted to add to this is, look, they're not getting any wins right now. This administration is failing. They're not even winning at immigration, right? They're starting to lose the backing of the public on an issue that they clearly feel like they really want on, right? But when you're going in and terrorizing communities, when you're taking hardworking, tax-paying people and basically behaving like a secret police force, which is what's happening. And I'm saying this very upfront because this happened to a very close friend of mine. They took her husband away with 5 unmarked cars showing up in front of her house. And so I'm living this firsthand like everyone else is. And so this isn't okay. And I think they're going to continue to push these boundaries. But again, I talked about this with Jim about this yesterday. Some of these images and also that they want, don't forget, there are violent people out there, people that are looking to stir the pot on purpose. And so that's why we keep saying, be careful with how you're engaging. The Proud Boys were posting online. They've been posting on social media. They were on Telegram. I've been monitoring those channels. They've been talking about the fact that, they were sending out gun tutorials and things. So, it's important to pay attention to things like that. And look, the violence in many of these situations is coming to the Proud Boys or the right.
Yeah. Stand by. I want to bring in some folks here who are in the zeitgeist always, and that is the hosts of the I've Had It podcast that you can catch on YouTube, and that is Jennifer Welch and Angie Pump Sullivan. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. You happen to be at rallies today, so I want to take it to the ground. As we say, we know that we're reporters, and Glenn's an expert and Livy's an expert, but you guys are just everyday folks, so to speak, if you know what I mean. And you're out there. How were the rallies where you were? Because you both attended a rally in Oklahoma. Am I correct?
Yes, we went to the rally in downtown Oklahoma City at 9 a.m. this morning, and Angie and I go to Oklahoma City Thunder games all the time. The arena holds 18,000 people. So we know what it feels like to have about 20,000 people downtown. I think it felt like double or triple. It was insane. It was peaceful. It was organized. People were united. And the best thing about it is it felt like I was in America again. For the first time since like January 20th, it was like, oh, here it is. This is our country. These are our people. And the most poignant moment was we were rounding a corner and there was a Latina woman standing, filming us. And she was crying and she said, thank you, gracias, thank you, gracias. And she was so moved that people were marching for everybody. And it was something that I personally needed to see and to witness. And I thought it was glorious.
Pumps?
I was shocked by the turnout, how excellent the turnout was. And I told Jennifer this while we were marching. You saw old people, young people, millennials. The group that is missing, the demographic that I'm so disappointed is white women my age. I feel like they have completely dropped the ball and will look back on not fighting for their daughters and not fighting for constitutional rights and democracy and be really sorry. Because it's sad that ours is the demographic that's letting everybody down.
Why do you say that, Angie?
Well, I have kids in college and I know these women and I am just like, how are you not outraged and horrified? But what I see is if it's not happening to me, then I don't have to worry about it. My daughter, we're privileged. So we can, do whatever we need medically. And well, immigrants should be deported, even though the same immigrant has cleaned their house for 30 years. I mean, there's just an undercurrent of racism and misogyny that is so prevalent in this state, homophobia, obviously, but it's just, I'm very disappointed with my peers.
And Jen, your podcast, your work now focuses on that. And you take us actually behind the scenes of people they say things to you as a white woman that they wouldn't dare say publicly or to anyone. And you are just floored and insulted by it.
Yeah. I mean, I think if every white American were truly honest and really spoke out, we've all been in spaces around groups of other white people where off-color and racist things are said. And it's happened our entire lives. And it's happened so much as you grow up and you enter adulthood. It wasn't until probably I was in my late 20s that I realized, like, this is really effed up. Like, this is pretty gross. And as my world became more diverse, I became more and more aware of it. And I think this type of racism that's shared secretly, elbow to elbow among white people is the most insidious type of racism, because they know it's racist because they self-edit. They don't say the things that they say to Angie and me. They wouldn't say that in front of Joy or you, Dawn. They know enough to know that they can't say it in front of you. And it's going to take white allies like Angie and me and educating our children to stand up always and say, nobody is free until all of us are free. You leave everybody vulnerable and on the table unless you combat this at every step. And that starts within our own communities. And as white people, it's something that we can do in our own communities every single day, all day. It happens, especially in red states like ours. You hear off-color things all the time. And I have made a commitment that I will stand up against this. I will not have it spoken around me. And I think it is, everybody asks, what can we do right now? What can we do right now? Because the federal government seems an impossible mountain to climb. What we can do in our own communities are micro changes. If somebody is racist, draw a boundary with them and tell them that is a deal breaker. I know I've known you for 20 years, but I am not going to be friends with you until you educate and enlighten yourself. And those are the ways that we can make subtle changes to overcome this big mountain we all have to climb that manifested itself. All of the worst things of American culture have manifested itself in this horrific person, Donald Trump. But after Trump, all of this shit will still remain unless we start fixing it on a personal level in our personal spaces.
Yeah.
And can I ask you this question really quick, Jennifer? I think it's interesting that you are, illuminating this for a lot of us. Are people aware, and is this something that you hear people talking about, this fear that white Americans are going to become the minority? Is that what's motivating this kind of hysteria against undocumented immigrants?
Yes, it's both covert and overt, Joy. Like I heard somebody say to me the other day, they were using a phrase like, don't blame the Indian, blame the arrow or something. I can't remember what it was. And then he followed up and said, oh, am I allowed to say that anymore? Mm-hmm. And there's this like, white people in general, I think that they are so used to the system being completely rigged for them all of the time. To see visible, successful minorities and members of the LGBTQ community is very threatening. And so it's easier for them to nitpick about, oh, I can't say this anymore. And that famous quote about the Wall Street finance bro that said, oh, we can finally say P-U-S-S-Y and the R word again. There's this, they feel like they're being caged in by minorities. But yet they love to exploit minority labor. There's always this talk like, well, and I'm just going to be candid. I live in Oklahoma. I'm an interior designer when I'm not a podcaster. And if I'm in a client's house and we're talking about getting a painter, they'll say, well, can't we just get some Mexicans to do that for a lot cheaper? Mm-hmm. Yep. That kind of thing is said all the time. I guarantee you it's been said already multiple thousand times a day, today, right now. This is something that is said all the time on construction sites. People don't have any problem exploiting the labor, and they know that the immigrant laborer is going to work harder and for less, show up on time, less breaks, and they just say it very candidly, just like that, Joy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
what, Joy? I hear it as well especially with people who own farms, and they will be huge Trump supporters, and I know some of them, and huge Trump supporters, and talk about illegal immigrants and all of those things, and they have undocumented immigrants working in their farms. My question is for both Angie and Glenn, and it's a legal question. This also spills over into the legal system. What you and what Jen are talking about, this racism and this discrimination spills over into the legal system, and people don't understand that in this country, how the system is rigged against some people, Angie.
Well, I think it's rigged against poor people from jump, because if public defenders generally are very good lawyers, but when you have more cases than 10 lawyers could work, the work is going to be substandard. So I think it starts with poor people, and then there's just people are okay with minorities being put in jail at a higher rate, with poor women. Oklahoma had one of the highest incarceration rates for women because they think it's okay because you're less than. And I think it starts with poverty and then moves all the way up. But Glenn would have more. He has a lot more experience.
You're muted, Glenn.
Go ahead, Glenn.
I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Don, I'm sorry. What was the question? I'm sorry.
We were talking about how the racism in the country and how this is all, it's prevailing here. We're seeing it playing out with immigrants. And also it happens within our legal system, not just with immigrants, but with people of color.
Yeah, well, listen, there's one thing that I learned over my 30 years as a prosecutor, and I think we've seen it most acutely in the age of Trump. The criminal justice system doesn't seem to have an appetite to go after what I call the ruling class criminals, the folks of privilege and power and influence and connections and wealth, most often white males. And, you know, the system will bend over backwards. I mean, I think I recently saw that they were debating leaving Bob Menendez on at liberty, not locked up pending appeal. And you know what? If you're prosecuting some, you know, underprivileged kid who snatched a purse or sold a rock of crack, you are not only not going to be allowed to remain at liberty in the community after you've been convicted, but you may very well be put in pretrial detention. One of the things that I'm trying to focus on in my professional chapter 2, having retired from the Department of Justice, is criminal justice reform, because in my opinion, we should probably turn the criminal justice system's priorities on their heads. Why? Because that guy who snatches a purse or sells a rock of crack, now, there may be victims, especially in a purse snatching case, and I would not want to be disrespectful of victims' rights, but guess what? The ruling class criminals, whether they are political, whether they're big oil, big tech, big Hollywood, big pharma, the military industrial complex, you know, they
Trump.
do damage. They do damage to large
or Trump.
Yeah, they do damage to large swaths of the American population.
Yeah.
And when we catch them, when the feds catch them committing crimes, you know what we do? Not me, but you know what the feds do? They give them non-prosecution agreements and they let them pay their way out of criminal responsibility. We have our priorities in the criminal justice system are upside down right now. So, you know, we need wholesale reform because the system does not work fairly. And that's felt most acutely by those folks who are not wealthy, connected, influential, powerful, and typically white men.
Can I just bring in Olivia, because Olivia is Mexican American. I think we have somebody this is her ethnicity that's being discussed. And, you know, Olivia, you see it on both sides, right? Because you are a person who I think a lot of people would not know. I didn't know until you told me your background. And so you probably hear a lot of mess that people think they can say to you because they don't know your background. But can you just talk a little bit about this from your point of view, and also the president who you served? You worked for Mike Pence, I should be clear, but you worked in the administration. Do you sense that was the mindset even then, that you discovered the mindset being, it's easy for us to go to war against these brown people and to target them because our base responds to it?
And Olivia, you're muted. There you go.
Oh, absolutely. Given the comments that were made during cabinet meetings at the time and the things that were said, I really think that they thought that the public would rally with their base and on this issue. But Joy, you nailed it. I have been hearing these comments my entire life. People feel at very liberty to say things to me, not understanding that I am a daughter of Mexican immigrants. Can you hear me okay?
All right. Olivia, thank you. Angie, Jennifer, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you joining us. Make sure you follow those ladies over on the I've Had It podcast. Oh my gosh.
It's like cardboard cut out of Don Lemon.
Oh my gosh, Angie.
Thank you.
Where did you get that?
One of our listeners mailed it to us, mailed her a Don Lemon and mailed me a Larry David. And they arrived at the office yesterday. Angie, you're on mute.
Yeah, I unmuted. Angie, unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got it from a fan that sent Jennifer, Larry David, and me, Don Lemon, because they know how much I love you, Don.
I love you more, Don. Okay, you guys keep doing the work you're doing. And thank you so much for having us on. We love all of you. It's a great day to be an American. Let's keep fighting.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
So much.
Thank you so much.
Can we run back to Jim real quick? Because I know Jim is out there in these streets doing all the things.
Hi,
so
guys.
Jim, tell us what you're seeing.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the scene that we saw earlier, 15, 20 minutes ago, it's changing now, because the protest that was here right now, it's starting to break up. A lot of these protesters are starting to head, I think, north. And so the sort of, heightened atmosphere that we were all experiencing about, half an hour ago, that is starting to dissipate. And so maybe this is going to be okay, at least down here in front of the White House for the moment. It seems like the tension level has come down a little bit. Now, what we saw the protests just gather here in front of the fencing in front of Lafayette Square just a few minutes ago. And, they were rallying around this cause of no Kingsville. They were making their voices heard. And I think they're going to start taking this to other parts of the district. We'll see where it goes from here. But, this is what the day was supposed to be about, right, guys? It was supposed to be about non-violent, peaceful protesting. And that is 99.99999% of what we just witnessed over the course of the last hour. Yeah, we saw some pro-Trump people. They were far outnumbered by the No Kings forces down here. And so, that in and of itself should be a message to the guy inside 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue over there. Much as the folks around the country wanted this to be sort of contained outside of DC, there's some forces here. There's some folks here who want to get their voice out. No question about it. Sorry, Don.
If you're just joining us, you're watching America Fights Back with Joy Reid, Jim Acosta, and Don Lemon. And you see we have our folks out in the field. There's Michael Fanone. I believe it's Michael Fanone. Maybe that's a veteran. And then there's also Glenn Kirshner there, and also Jolly. Andy, the pictures that are up on the right, is that Los Angeles that we're looking at? We saw people out on the streets, correct?
Yes, this is LA.
That is LA. And then we have video, or at least live pictures from folks from places all over the country. I just want to check in before we get to some of our other guests. This one is, where are we looking now? Is this still
New
Los
York?
Angeles? That's New York that we're looking at. Okay, great. And then again, all over the country, we have Philadelphia, Chicago, and not just in major cities. You saw in Oklahoma. We have our Tara Setmeyer, who's out there. Tara has been going on. There she is. Tara, you have been out at a protest rally yourself, correct?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're driving on the road.
I am. I'm driving on the road here, coming back from the Philly rally, and it was unbelievable. I've never been to a protest before, and it was a sea of humanity. I cannot begin to tell you how unbelievable the energy was to see all of those people. I'm telling you, folks from every walk of life, young and old, incredible signs. I was emotional. It brought me to tears. It was unbelievable. There had to be hundreds of thousands of people out there in Philadelphia.
No skirmishes or anything?
Oh, no, absolutely not. There was no sign of instigators or anything like that. There was the police officers were, there was a police presence, but they weren't really trying to do anything to inflame the situation. The police officers in Philadelphia did a great job. Crowd control was great. There was no agitators whatsoever at the point that I was there. I was there from the very beginning. Along the parade route, we marched all the way along Ben Franklin Parkway. And if anyone was out there during the Kamala Harris rally the night before the election, it was along the same area there, that beautiful part of Philadelphia that goes to the Rocky Steps at the Museum of Art. And it was completely peaceful, and people were very energized to be there for our democracy.
Yeah. That's my former city, Philadelphia. I worked there as a news anchor in Philadelphia. I've been on those steps a lot. But Philly can be really rowdy, Tara Setmeyer. Tara, stand by. Jolly, I want to bring in, do you have something? Are you trying to show us there? Where are you?
I was showing you. So what I've done is I've made my way to the other side of the city from where we were previously at, where the protest was at. This is the actual parade entrance. So I'm here where people are entering the parade. I just kind of wanted to get an idea to, what things look like, how many people were here. It turns out, this is very interesting. I didn't know this. There's two entrances. There's a parade entrance, and then there's a festival entrance. And I asked the guy, I said, what's the festival? I didn't hear about a festival. He said the festival's for the Army. But I was like, I thought the parade was for the Army. So I'm doing a little investigation to figure out, wait a minute, have they pulled a bait and switch, which, let's be honest, we all knew the military parade was for Trump the whole time. Mm-hmm. But I'm literally being told I can go one of two directions. Here, right here into the parade, which is a pretty skim line. You can see the lines moving pretty fast. Or over there where I was at a minute ago, I can go to the festival, which I'm being told is a minimum of a 2.5 hour line to get in. So one almost for Trump and one almost for the Army, apparently. Surprise, surprise.
Jim, how is the security there? Is it because I heard earlier that it was really tough to get in, even if you were going to the parade, especially if you're, a protester. But is it inhibiting people from going? And you said the line is pretty scant. Jolly?
Oh, I apologize. I thought you said Jim. I do apologize.
I'm sorry, I may have. Sorry.
No, it's no problem. Security is pretty tight. There's about 4 entrances. You got special guest entrances, press and media entrances. I tried to get through press media. You got to be pre-cleared by the Trump administration, so I'll never get in there. And then there's a general entrance as well. But like I say, for the parade getting in, lines moving pretty fast. It's not. I mean, it's a lot of people, but it's not like really backed up. But this other entrance that I'm not sure makes any sense is a much longer wait line to get in. It seems like you had to have some pre-cleared tickets to get in that. So it seems like they've got people going to celebrate Trump on one side and people going to this army parade on the other side.
Wait, people wanting to celebrate Trump, Jolly, can you explain? They're celebrating what about Trump? His birthday? Is it like a birthday celebration? Are they singing happy birthday to him? What is going on?
Well, I can only imagine from, I apologize. I can only imagine from, the time I spent studying North Korea and collecting intelligence on North Korea and how cultist regimes work, that they're just celebrating Trump because he's their cult leader. And I asked 2 or 3 people while I was walking, hey, what are you here for? Why are you here? Oh, Trump, we love Trump. And no one has told me yet here we're here to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday. So that's not an answer. As a matter of fact, let's ask some people right now. I mean, I'd be happy to ask some people. Hey, do you mind telling me, what you're here for today?
I'm here to join in the celebration of 250 military anniversary. Coincidentally, it's the President Trump's birthday. I'm here from Baltimore, and my grandfather, my uncle, my nephew, my brothers served in the military.
Okay.
And I'm here in honor of them giving service to this country.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter that it's President Trump's birthday. It more matters that it's the Army's birthday.
Well, it matters. He's the president, and coincidentally...
Did you celebrate Biden's birthday?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. In fact, I didn't even celebrate former President Obama.
Right.
And I didn't celebrate former President Bill Clinton.
Sure. So why Trump?
Well, I'm not celebrating Trump's presidency. I'm here to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the military. I love the military. I'm proud to be an American of a country that has a strong militia. And so that's 95% of the reason why I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, Jolly, can I ask you a question?
Can you ask him if he knows? Jolly,
Go ahead,
can you
Joy.
ask him if he knows any other president's birthday? Can he name any other president's birthday?
Can you?
What was the question?
Can you name? Do you know any of the other presidents' birthdays? Like what date they were?
Not exactly the exact date and year. No.
Jolly,
I only
can
know.
you ask him?
I only know that it's President Trump's birthday from the news media.
Sure.
Watching the news.
Sure.
That it's on June the 14th.
So it's given the appearance that this president is, like you said, using the news media to push out his birthday, where every other president, was humble and didn't do that. Does that bother you?
Of course it does.
Okay, good.
Because right now it disturbs me that he's operating in the image of a dictator.
Ooh, okay.
Yes, pretty much. I'm going to be honest with you. I watch countries like China, Japan, Russia. They celebrate the military in their honor, and I'm disturbed about that. Yes.
Okay.
Jolly,
You enjoy the parade.
Can you ask him another question, Jolly?
One more question.
Can you ask him if he has any issue with Donald Trump federalizing the National Guard, Marines, U.S. military on the streets of America, possibly up against Americans, its own citizens?
So the question is, do you have any issues with the president federalizing U.S. troops on the street of America, like the Marines and the Guard in L.A.?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It takes me back to, I think it was, Kent State University, when the students protest, he used the National Guard, and I think a few people was killed. I don't agree, because it's not ironic that January the 6th, he didn't call the National Guards out to quell the January 6th riot. So he did just the reverse in California. And I disagree with that. He's using the military for his own personal bodyguard, so to speak.
Jolly,
Well,
can you get that
I have
man's
to agree.
information? I want to have him as a guest on the show. Get his contact
Right? He
information.
surprised us. We thought he was going one way and it
Yeah,
went another.
me too. Same.
Yeah.
So I'm on live with Don Lemon and Joy Reid and Jim Acosta, and they're curious if you'd like to be a guest on the show in the future. If I can get your contact information.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Don Lemon. I watched you when you was on CNN.
Thank you very much. You need to watch us now that we're on YouTube.
Wait,
and I appreciate you.
I know. I heard about that.
You're
I
a
don't
veteran,
think-
right? You're a veteran?
No, I never served. My brother served. My uncle served. I was in college.
Yeah. Well,
But
thank
I
your
did-
brother and your family for their service, and thank you for appearing. You're a very polite man, and I love it when people have different. We differ on some things, but you're very polite and respectful, and I like that.
Don Lemon, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it talking to you. We appreciate you. I believe we do have him. There we go. Harry Dunn, former
Thank you, Mr.
Capitol
Lemon,
Police
and
Officer
your
Harry
co-leader.
Dunn.
Yes.
We had a little challenge
I
getting you
appreciate
in
you.
here, but we've got him now.
Yeah, if I can get it
Harry,
just real
how
quick.
you doing, my friend? Welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, y'all. Joy, Don, everybody, Tara. Good to see y'all.
So talk to us. What are you thinking about on today, given the fact that Donald Trump is putting tanks in the streets of the city that you used to patrol and the Capitol you used to protect? Your thoughts on that, Harry?
It's a slap in the face, but it comes as no surprise to what he's doing. Is anybody really surprised by what he's doing? There is no bottom to what this individual that's occupying the White House right now will do. There's no low that what he'll stoop to. But let me back up for a second. I got to take a minute to acknowledge the lives that was lost in Minnesota this morning with a horrible thing of political violence. And it just shows the contrast of, I was out in Maryland earlier at these peaceful protests. People are fired up, people are passionate, but there wasn't any violence. There wasn't any, there was anger towards an administrator. Towards an administration, to a wannabe dictator, towards a king, but it wasn't any violence. It was a lot of, as much hate that was out there was an equal amount of love that was there also. So my thoughts are with that, meaningful thoughts and prayers are with the families of the people affected in Minnesota today.
Yeah, indeed. Ours as well. Ours as well. And thank you for saying that. And the frightening thing about it is that you do have this atmosphere of hatred and violence in the country. We do know that there is a suspect who's been named as a 50-some-year-old man who was dressed as a police officer, pretending to be. We don't know if he has any sort of law enforcement background, but he was pretending to be, or at least posing as a police officer, including a car that looked like it was an officer's vehicle, which is probably the only reason that these two lawmakers opened their doors. And then, of course, both couples were shot. One is a state House member, the former speaker, the other being a state senator. So it is frightening, and we definitely wish deepest condolences to the families of both of those folks.
One of the other things that you just said, Joy, and that goes back what ICE is doing. They're just showing up in jeans and a T-shirt and a mask, a shiesty mask, and with jeans and a T-shirt. I mean, these policies that are being led by Kristi Noem and this administration, not enforcing even the simplest of a dress code. So you talk about all this reverence about military, about our service members. How about making them even look decent? I mean, like you couldn't come into, if your shirt's untucked, you're already out of order for the military. So it's just unfortunate what's happening. Hopefully we don't see more of this, but my heart tells me that we are going to see more of this type of targeted violence.
Yeah. Hey, Joy and Harry, can you just wait a little bit? Because I want to get to someone who's out in the field, and we'll get back to Harry, and we'll bring Dulce Sloan in as well. But Tara Palmieri is here. Tara is our eyes in the field, Tara, and we don't want to see more umbrella than we see you. I know you don't want to get
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I just don't want my
You're in
phone
the
to
New York
get wet.
rally. Tell us about the New York rally.
It's actually like a parade. It feels more like a parade than anything else. Very peaceful. And patriotic, like a lot of American flags, little ones. And I think it was to make a point that, there's obviously a military parade in Washington, but that these, obviously people who are resisting the president and his agenda, you can see from the signs that they too are patriotic people, despite their differences about what patriotism looks like. And I think, you see a lot of signs like pro-Mexico, free Palestine. One of them I got a kick out of. It said, break up with your Republican boyfriend. There's one that says, MAGA is fascist, and it's all over the place. But I noticed a lot of people coming with friends. A lot of rainbows. It kind of seems like it makes up the whole range of the Democratic coalition. People, all different people. I could talk to someone if you want. Right here, a lot of it says. Some of it is a little inflammatory as well, and not even a lot inflammatory. But everybody from all different political persuasion is going to come out. But it's very heavily armed as well. I'm going to show you some of the police officers right here. Hold on. I mean, it's really heavily armed. So I think it'll be mainly contained. And I don't.
Where are you marching to? They march from Bryant Park to where, Tara?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Where are you marching to?
Oh, I'm marching down Fifth Avenue. I'm on 35th and 5th. Okay, here's a sign. How do you say hate in Spanish? Stephen Miller. So there's a lot of trolling going on out here. So I'm really surprised by how many people showed up. It's not like a downpour, but it's not exactly comfortable out here. I'm in my rain boots, and everyone else seems to be just down with that. I've never seen this flag before, but I think you could see "fuck Donald Trump." But all different ages.
Oh, I've seen those. I've seen that flag.
You're like,
I have two of them.
House. No.
Who was that said I have two of them? Was that Naveed?
That's Jolly.
That was Jolly.
I think the best thing for the movement is as long as it stays, deportized. I think as long as these marches, remain like civil, it's a sign that people can congregate without having violence, and it's a special thing in our country. We should be celebrating, I think.
Well, Tara Palmieri, thank you for joining us. Be safe and try to stay dry out there.
Yeah, I will.
Bring us those great signs.
I'll keep you posted if anything dramatic happens, but I'm hopeful that it doesn't, because
thank you.
We want
Tara.
more of this, and Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye. Thank you. Back to Tara and Dulcie. Harry and Dulcie.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey,
Joy, take it away, Joy. Miss Joy Reid.
Hey, Dulcie, why don't we go ahead and get you to talk a little bit about what what this day kind of speaks to you. How does it speak to you?
Hello, friends. I am Dulce Sloan. How is everyone? Hello. I think it's very interesting that a draft dodger is having a military parade, and people are showing up. I think I am very interested that people who served and risked their lives to protect this country would show up to a parade for someone to celebrate his birthday for, service that he didn't even do. The way he's spoken about people in the military, the way he used to speak about John McCain, truly was very interesting. But I think the thing that was so odd to me was I had friends on the East Coast and friends back home that were asking about the riots in LA. And I was like, these aren't riots. They're not riots. And this is coming from other Black people. And so I was like, they're not riots. A riot is when there's civil unrest, when the citizens are attacking, each other, and they're attacking the law enforcement, and they're, tearing things. We've seen riots in LA before. These weren't riots. They were being attacked by ICE. And they're being attacked by the police and by the military. And so but the fact that the Tulsa massacre was referred to as riots for almost 100 years, and that was citizens being attacked by other citizens and by law enforcement. So we have to make sure that the media is using the correct terms for things when we talk about how people are being treated. And so I have family that is, I think, all documented. I think most of my family is documented that I have back, but I don't know. You don't ask the Tia stuff like that. But we all have friends and we all have family that we're all concerned about. But the fact that you're taking, you're going to take people's legal citizenship away to then make them illegal. I guess I don't understand who this is for. I guess I don't understand this, because what the same people who will tell you they have ancestors that are from England and France and Germany and Italy, none of those places are America. So the same people that say, my parents came over here a legal way. Your parents and your grandparents came over with Ellis Island. And all Ellis Island was, the United States took a census, saw how many black people were there in this country, and then they said, we need white reinforcements. That's all Ellis Island was they went to Europe and sent boats and said, bring us as many whites as you can because we're expanding west and we have to make sure it's not black people out there. So you can't come up to me when the United States invited all of these white people in from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. And it wasn't about the legal way. They weren't filling out documents. They wrote their name down and then they went somewhere. So you can't run in this mindset of, well, we did this, we did that. When you have the model minority myth and the way that Asian Americans have been made to become these representatives of what every minority should be doing, but then you're also starting to deport them as well. Well, if they're the model, then why are you kicking them out? And so we have to see what's the next step of things, because I didn't read all of Project 2025 because I don't like to have nightmares. So what is the point of all of this? Because I was talking to my mom about it, and people are saying, oh, it's the way to kick out all of these undocumented people. And she said, yeah, but people aren't thinking about the next step. So if you think about the Midwest, if everybody's lady was on TikTok, she's like, we voted for Trump, but none of our employees are coming in. They're undocumented, and either they self-deported back to their own country, or they're afraid to come to work. So now we can't harvest our grain. They get rid of USAID. You can't harvest your grain. You can't sell to the government. So all of these people voted against themselves. And she said, when he said he was sending undocumented people back, we didn't think he was talking about our employees. Mm-hmm. And that's the main issue. Yeah. They never thought that he was talking about them, but that is the issue with his voters. That is the issue with white people in this country. They never think somebody's talking to them.
That is the cognitive dissonance of a lot of the Trump supporters in this country. Stand by. Can you guys stand by one second, please? Jolly, I want to get Jolly back up. Jolly, you had someone. You said you wanted to. Jolly, you there? Wanted to speak to someone who was in the crowd. I don't know if he can hear us because he's texting me telling me he wanted to talk to someone. Go ahead.
Well, his mic is muted.
Yeah.
Oh, Jolly, put your mic on. We can sort of see your mic, your camera, but we don't hear you.
All right, let's get back to Harry Dunn. And Joy, you got Naveed Shah here.
I do indeed. Harry, I want to let you get another comment if you want to respond to what Dulcie had to say, because I mean, the reality is you had a lot of people with that same mentality show up for what they called a protest on January 6th, but that was just a mob action. Those were people who also are not trained protesters. They didn't know how to protest. They just figured we'll just crap in the Capitol and smash the windows and beat up some police officers. They think that's a peaceful protest, but Donald Trump is trying to portray what we just saw in New York, what we're seeing in LA. We can see the pictures. We're putting them on your screen to show you. Donald Trump calls this an insurrection, Harry.
Yeah. Well, not just him, but his flunkies and cronies in Congress. I mean, what they're saying, what's happening in LA is an insurrection. And I just love the opportunity to use a good Webster's definition. And the definition of an insurrection is a violent uprising against a government or authority. So we have to stop real quick and examine the components of that real quick. How can you have the violent uprising is by the government, not against the government. It's ICE out there beating people's heads in and cracking people's windows and stuff. So it's not an insurrection because the government is the one doing the violent uprising. On January 6th, it was the people that did a violent uprising against the government. So, I mean, listen, I don't give MAGA a lot of credit. Like, they're not smart, but those lawmakers, they're not that dumb. They know how to understand what a definition is. But all they're doing is pandering to their base. And the last thing I'll say real quick is I got some text messages from officers that are out there working right now. And they said they have Trump supporters coming up to them saying, thank you for your service. Thank you for being here. These are the same people who defended the Capitol on January 6th. But you got all people, Trump supporters, coming up to them and thanking them. And it's just Danny Hodges is out there working right now in this humidity. And I'm just praying that rainstorm makes its way a little bit further south from New York, right in time for that parade. So,
and the parade is later. You notice we're on before that.
Parade hasn't happened yet. It's 4:30.
It has not happened yet. It's supposed to happen at about 6:30. But you know, we don't care about it. But I mean, we do care.
This is already ridiculous.
Yeah, and I will note that we do respect the United States Army,
has a parade
and we do
tonight?
want to
Okay,
wish
I
the
don't know.
United
I'm the
States
one with
Army
the
a happy
connection issue.
250th
Can y'all see me?
birthday.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, we can, Dulce. Let me go ahead and introduce very quickly before we come back to you, Naveed Shah. He is himself a U.S. Army veteran, and he is from Courage for America. I wanted you to come in and just talk a little bit about your perspective on Donald Trump throwing what he's claiming is a celebration of the Army's 250th birthday, but it's really about his birthday. And he really wants to be like Kim Jong-un, and he wants to be like the dictators who get to have military parades, Putin, but also he kind of envies Emmanuel Macron. Maybe not the getting slapped by his wife part, which maybe might happen to him too at some point. But he loves the Bastille Day parade. He wanted one of his own, and now he's got one. Your thoughts on that, Naveed?
Hey, Joy, thanks so much for having me. And, it's such a slap in the face to every service member that he's doing this way. As an Army veteran, I would love to celebrate the Army's birthday. I'm really proud of my service. I'm proud of the soldiers I served with in Iraq and all over the world. But the thing is, when Donald Trump is doing this, he's putting on this pomp and circumstance for himself, and to turn around and decide he's going to cut 15% of the Department of Veterans Affairs, 83,000 jobs that are going to, and who's going to be impacted by that? Veterans and military families who rely on the VA for their health care and for their benefits. So on the streets, he's having a parade, but behind the scenes, the Trump regime is planning to cut veterans benefits without any regard for the people that they're going to be hurting.
And when you talk to your fellow veterans and about this parade, because I have to say one of the more despicable things that I've seen in the last couple of days is the way local news is covering this event. They're covering it like it's perfectly normal for the president of the United States to be putting tanks in the streets of the nation's capital and sort of showing off our military might, not to another country, but to the American people, and threatening a violent response if people protest. This is being covered as if it's perfectly normal. And I wonder what you make of that, Naveed.
Well, Common Defense recently did a poll of veterans across the country, and we found that even among Republicans and independent veterans, 70% of them across the board do not like this parade that Donald Trump is doing. And more importantly, in light of what's happening in Los Angeles, we're seeing him not just throwing a military parade, but throwing the military at peaceful protesters, putting 4,000 National Guard members, 700 Marines, at least in California so far. And now we know that governors like in Texas and in Virginia are following suit, activating the National Guard to go after protesters. The militarization of the police state against peaceful civilians who are exercising their First Amendment right is a very dangerous prospect. And again, this parade in DC that he's doing today is just a sideshow to what's really happening.
Joy, Ruth Ben-Ghiat is joining us as well, American history professor and a political commentator, a scholar on fascism, we need her today, and authoritarian leaders.
Yes.
She's also a professor of history and Italian studies at New York University. Ruth, thank you for joining us. Talk to us about what's happening today. Does this fit the definition of your expertise?
Yeah, it's been really disturbing. A third of my book is about military coups, and this kind of totally wildly disproportionate mobilization of force with an infantry battalion of Marines who served in the global war on terror, now on the streets of Los Angeles. And it struck me that one of the reasons for this is that they want to produce images of a domesticated military, and that's the parade, fine, and these federalized National Guard troops and stuff. But they want to banish images that are too threatening to them, and that is ordinary people who've been coming out, not just today, which is the No Kings protests, but they've been coming out in neighborhoods to try and stop these ICE thugs from doing their arrests. And that kind of show of solidarity and helping the vulnerable is very threatening to authoritarians, because they want to always divide us and break those horizontal bonds of solidarity. And so that's one reason I think they didn't expect this kind of response among people, which has happened spontaneously all over the nation. And so they've got like this mega force, and they're using Los Angeles as a test case.
So stand by, Ruth. I want you to stand by. I'm going to bring in Jolly is out there in the field. Jolly, you said you have someone you want us to talk to, and unmute, please, sir, so we can hear you.
Can you see this?
Go ahead, Jolly.
I'm here with Riley. Riley, you want to explain to us? I see you walking. You got the uniform. You got the flag. What's the message?
8 years ago, I graduated from West Point and was discharged, denied my commission because I'm transgender. It's happening again 8 years later. There are 3 cadets from Air Force Academy, another one from West Point that have been discharged because they're transgender, and I'm here to let people know that that's fucked up.
It is indeed.
I think you said
bluntly said.
Bluntly said, right, Joy?
And factual. I mean, can I ask you a question? What made you want to join the United States military? Why did you sign up?
What made you want to join the military? Why did you sign up?
Oh, a number of reasons. As corny as it might be, I wanted to be the best person I could develop myself into. I wanted to see what I could do with my life, and it was a good opportunity. And I got into West Point. I was very proud of that.
And you made it all 4 years, it sounds like?
I did. I made it all 4 years, graduated, got a degree in mathematics. I would have branched into the Air Defense Artillery.
Wow.
And John,
What
can
does
you
this do
ask?
for the?
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry,
on.
Joy.
No, go, John. You go.
What does this do for the morale? Because if you listen to Pete Hegseth and you listen to Donald Trump and folks in the administration, they think that it lowers the morale, right? It hinders the morale of the folks in the military, the men and women in uniform, and our transgender brothers and sisters as well. But what does it really do to the morale, especially for members of the LGBTQ plus community who have fought and served this country?
It's a good question. Don asked, Pete Hegseth claims that having transgender soldiers in the military lowers the morale of the unit. But what do you think that it does for the morale? And especially, what message are you sending to the LGBTQI plus community by kicking people out simply for being transgender?
If you talk to any of hundreds of trans service members, you will know that they only better the unit. And that, look, if there's a bad trans service member, if they are not cut out for military service, kick them out. I will be the first to say that. But what I want everyone to know is that give us an equal chance. We deserve an equal chance. There's nothing wrong with being transgender that affects your military service in any way.
Would you have been, if after West Point, had you got commissioned and not been kicked out?
Yeah.
By the way, what year did that happen?
2017.
2017. Had you not been kicked out, would have got commissioned, you still would have been in during some of the conflict. Would you have been willing to go in your uniform overseas and fight those wars and fight those conflicts?
I planned for that. Yeah, Air Defense Artillery gets forward deployed all the time. I was expecting that. I was hoping for that. I planned for that.
And so when you joined, to be fair, the country had been at war for going on 20 years, so you knew what you were getting into.
Absolutely did. All my professors were Afghanistan veterans or Iraq veterans. We studied all sorts of case studies from Iraq and Afghanistan, both the tactical situation, but also the moral, ethical situations that arises for officers.
So walking around here now, because I see a lot of, Make America Great Again hats and Trump shirts, and that, have you gotten any feedback on your flag? Have you had any comments? Have you had any conversations that stand out to you?
I've had a couple of looks, but only positive comments.
That's amazing. Okay, great. Yeah. And are you here specifically for the Army's 250th birthday?
Well, look, I was in the Army too, so it gets to be my birthday too. I'm not going to let Trump take that away from me.
Amen.
Very well. Jim, you have something? You got a question?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, a couple of things. I'm going to just bring up the point, since we're talking about Pete Hegseth, and he's made all these comments about merit-based and so on. If we're going purely on merit-based, should Pete Hegseth be the defense secretary? I mean, honestly, let's just put that out there. Can we just say that? Let's just state the obvious, make sure it's on the record here. The other thing is, I just heard from the crew here in D.C. just a few moments ago that we're expecting possibly 3 to 4 inches of rain at about 7 o'clock this evening. That is what's in the forecast right now. And
Andy,
I don't know
can you
if
give us
somebody's
some
been, I don't know,
applause,
Harry
please?
Dunn, I heard, was doing a rain dance or something out in Virginia somewhere. But whatever he did,
I mean,
Harry,
Jim,
he's a big
I'm
guy.
not-
When he starts rain dancing, maybe that just makes the rain clouds start.
I'm saying that Indian people can use prayer to cause bad weather, but I'm also not saying that we cannot use prayer because we do commune with Jesus. I'm
We
not
could pray
saying
too,
that
Joy. We could just come together right now, hold hands virtually.
Maybe that's it.
There's always a drought, Joy. You can always
Little
pray
divine
for rain.
intervention.
There's always a lawn. It's been warm. You can
Won't he do
always
it?
say, my landscaping is just parched. And it's
Our
not
democracy is
land.
parched.
Our democracy is
parched.
parched. And sometimes he'll just do it. Won't he do it? He
Won't
will.
he always? Won't he always? The
God is
trees
good.
at 1600, they're out here being thirsty. Okay, there's just been a cloud upon them of just foolishness, and the clouds need to be pushed away to the cleansing rain that we need. Also, a nighttime parade. Who in the history of life starts a parade at a PM? We all know parade is an AM situation. What is happening over there? They can't find nobody to turn the tanks on. It don't even make no sense.
And keep in mind, don't forget, guys, Donald Trump does not like the rain. Remember that situation in France when he didn't want to go to the cemetery because he was worried that orange stuff on his head was going to get all matted up. You know, it's like a raccoon in a wind tunnel when that happens.
Spray hair. His spray hair will
Giuliani.
come off. His
We'll
spray
have
hair
a Giuliani situation. Remember
Oh,
Giuliani?
really? You read my mind that he would have orange stuff rolling down his face, and that would not be pretty.
Not cute.
Not that any of us are hoping that's going to happen.
You said 3 to 4 inches of rain? Is that what you said?
That's what we just heard. That's what we just heard. That's the, if you trust these weather apps on these phones and stuff, which, listen.
I mean, we have to. The Weather Service got defunded, so somebody has to tell us something.
That's true.
Jim has become our meteorologist here. Hey, everybody stand by.
Storm
Andy,
front
can you
moving
take
across
us?
the Ohio Valley. Yeah.
Can you take us through some of the shots that we have, the pictures that we have up now, Andy, and tell us where we are? Because we're looking at protests all over the country. Some of them have ended. Others are still going. I believe this one, is this Philadelphia that we're looking at right now, or is this Los Angeles?
Yes, that's Philly.
This is Philadelphia. Still going on in Philadelphia. There seems to be a pretty big crowd there. And it looks like they may be outside of, I can't really tell the picture, maybe outside of the museum. What else do we have going on around the country, Andy? Take us somewhere else.
Los Angeles, the feed just ended. I'm going to grab a new one.
Okay. So, and also it's still going on in Los Angeles. We saw San Jose, quite a bit of people out there. And Joy, it's not, and Jim, it's not just in major cities. We had Jen and Pumps on, and they were in Oklahoma, and it's in small towns. Connecticut, Mississippi, Louisiana, even in red states, you see people from all over protesting today. No kings, no kings, no kings. It's not just no kings. They're protesting. They're pro-democracy and pro-constitution.
And Ruth, I would love for you to comment on that, because the thing is, you've said, and we've all interviewed you, and you've talked to all of us on our show, individual shows in the past, about the fact that public and physical resistance is actually an important point of fighting autocracy. How important is it that you've got, as Don said, peaceful protests all over the country, despite Donald Trump's threats that people not protest?
No, it's really key, and I think that when we see shots of big resistance abroad, sometimes it's centralized to, like in Warsaw or the capital of Georgia, and I think the future of resistance, including a country the size of the U.S., is going to be decentralized. It's going to look like this. And it's really, really important to be together, because the experience of being together also encourages people to come back again. We have to think of this as one step in a collective movement. We're building it's a new chapter of building a movement. And we shouldn't forget that, like in 2017 with the Women's March, and especially Black Lives Matter, that was the largest protest movement in American history. So we can do this. And the other thing is that we're standing up to show tell people that we feel the government, it's not acceptable what they're doing. It's not who we are. And we're kind of, when you come together in public also, you're transforming your individual outrage into kind of a collective moral force. So it's a collective action and bringing your values into action and showing others that they can come out and do it too. So it's really important.
Amen.
Can I ask Jim a question? Jim, you've traveled with many presidents. You and I have both covered many inaugurations and presidential events and I can't remember. I just know that I remember during the Obama inauguration, it was just cold as hell. And that sounds weird, cold as hell, because hell is hot as far as, we know. But so then what happens? What is the rain sitch there? What is the backup plan? Do you know in these situations?
Ooh. Well, keep in mind, Don, I remember I covered Barack Obama's first inauguration. I was down there in the National Mall for that. And that was colder than what it was during Donald Trump's second inauguration. Remember when they went inside?
Yep.
They had to
Yeah.
go
Right.
inside because, well, he was worried that the crowds are going to be small outside.
Oh, I
So,
was at the
if we
first
go inside the
inauguration.
arena, the crowds aren't going to be that small. But I think in terms of, I think this is a rain, no rain, whatever happens, weather permitting, they go for it. And I do believe, based on what I've heard, just talking to folks, heading into this, I talked to some law enforcement folks heading into this, there were some concerns about some of the flyovers. What happens with sending the tanks in, sending some of these military vehicles around? How does that work if everything is totally saturated like this? But this is, I don't want to exaggerate, but 3 to 4 inches of rain in Washington, D.C. on a Saturday evening, that has the potential to cause a lot of problems. And I have to assume that the people down on the National Mall, when that happens, people are going to start scattering. They're going to start going under trees and so on. And this is going to be a big mess for Donald Trump. Maybe he's
And
going
you
to get
can't
served
take
a
the
little
tanks.
helping a
You can't
humble
take the
pie.
tanks inside, Jim. You can't
you
take
can't.
7,000. It's an estimate of 7,000
Oh
troops.
my
He is
God.
forced to come to DC rather than do what they normally do with their time. There are supposed to be flyovers. We're talking about them marshaling an armada of tanks, of military vehicles of all kinds. I've spoken with sources inside the National Park Service who said they have unearthed mothballed tanks that don't even run anymore because they're so old.
Wow.
Because he wants hundreds of tanks.
Yeah. His dad didn't get him enough
The way
GI Joes
Kim
growing up or
Jong-un's look.
something.
Yeah, he
So we're
wants
just
to
gonna
have a
have
Kim
tanks.
Jong-un style parade.
Yeah.
So we're
Joy,
just
you
gonna have tanks hydroplaning in the National Mall. Is that what the goal is? It's just to see a
And
tank
keep in mind, they
hydroplane
shut
today?
down National Airport. They shut down
Yeah.
Reagan National Airport for a period of hours today to get all of this set up.
Yeah. Hey, Joy and
This has been a
Jim.
mess.
By the way, Joy, you had fed into us some of the protest. Some of the rehearsal video from them rolling the tanks in, and also, can we play that? Yeah, this is the rehearsal video that Joy and her team had sent in to us. And this is, I don't know if you were there yesterday, Jim. I don't know, but look at this.
I believe Dan's could be
I feel like this looks like North Korea, guys.
It's like,
Am I wrong?
it's like North Korea. It's like all the dictatorships that I study, and it's just unbelievable. It's this boundless need for adoration and choreographed bodies and feeling that he's the big man, but there's no end to it. It's from a deep insecurity and a deep fear. In fact, I did some research on parades and
That's
actual
North Korea, by the way, we're
dictators.
showing now. Just let you not to cut you off. That's North Korea now.
that
So
is
you can
North
see
Korea,
they're
yeah.
similar.
Yes,
But
it's
go ahead.
similar,
Go,
right? But some of the dictators, if they've been around long enough and they know how hated they are by their people, they can have, like Saddam Hussein, he would have birthday parades, but he wouldn't show up because he was afraid something would happen to him if he actually showed up. This is after being, this is like a symptom of this egomania of the dictator. And it's really unbelievable that we have to have these scenes now in our nation's capital.
And what's gross about it, Ruth, is remember Donald Trump is the guy who was reported, and I confirmed it, others confirmed it, had referred to people who serve in the military as suckers and losers.
Yeah.
And he's the one who is using the United States military, using the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army to puff out his chest and feel like a dictator. It's disgraceful.
Yeah. Also, if I can interject into that conversation, I joined the military, and 9/11 happened 2 days before I graduated basic training.
Wow.
So Iraq and Afghanistan was my entire military career. 13 years I was there. It was the global war on terrorism the whole time, from the 2 days before I graduated basic till I got out. And something that was a very big part of our training, our quarterly requirements, our commanders and our platoon sergeants would talk to us about it. And it was, our job's not to be political. Our job is to stay apolitical. Don't do politics in uniform. I'm sure you all remember 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that time period. Lots of protests around the country against the Iraq war. After, it was revealed that there was no weapons of mass destruction. So there was a lot of that. And soldiers were inclined, soldiers, sailors, airmen, marine were inclined to have an opinion. And we were reminded that your political opinion is yours privately. You will not do it as associated with the Army. You won't do it in uniform. So now I'm seeing the politicization of our military. And it's absolutely disgusting. One, it's antithetical to everything I learned in my 13 years in the Army. And I'm going to say what I said the other day. This is going to cause the public to lose trust in the military. When you start politicizing the military, going to Fort Bragg, giving stump speeches on Bragg, I couldn't believe it. When you're filtering the troops that are there to make sure they align with your political views, when you're selling Trump merchandise to soldiers in uniform, if you did any of these things while I was in, you were getting reprimanded, if not kicked out. Politics were not allowed in uniform, and now I'm starting to have trouble deciding what's politics and what's uniform. And this is going to cause us to erode public trust in the military.
Indeed. Indeed.
But the
Especially when
Republican Party has always used the military, has always taken the military and stood them in front of us. They've always said that they supported the troops, and the entire time we're taking resources and services away from veterans. They are the main party that will go, we love the troops, we care so much about the troops, thank you so much for your service. And they are the main ones that will defund the VA. They are the main ones that will make sure that they're taking their all of the services. They're not allowing, black servicemen to be, or black people serving service who are black, to be able to use the GI Bill. And that was the entire time. So this entire time, the Republican Party has always stood behind the American military and been like, this is our show of might, this is our show of force. They're the first ones to go to war, and then the last ones to help veterans. This has been the game the entire time. They have always played in the military's face. So for me to have to look up, we all had a grandfather who was in World War II because he had to, because we had the draft. But to currently have friends who've had to leave the military or were kicked out of the military, or for any reason to say we can't politicize, so you're telling them you can't be political in uniform, but yet the Republican Party has always made the military part of their party and the identity of their party. That's a huge slap. That has to be a huge slap in the face.
Mostly, look what he did at Fort Bragg last week with members, our service members standing behind him, doing a call and repeat, and also, selling merch at the event. Yeah.
Which is unheard of. Like, why are you selling merch to the troops? And by the way, for those who didn't see that video, and we have a little bit of that video here, I don't know if we want to tee it up. He mocked the mayor of Los Angeles and the governor, and again claimed, like Kristi Noem did, that they're going to, quote, liberate Los Angeles from the people who are elected to lead it. He mocked the press and got the troops. It was I think it was the 82nd Airborne, and got them to mock the media with him, to hoot and mock the leadership, the civilian leadership of California with him. He got them to participate. And as Don and Jim have reported, and I've seen this reporting elsewhere, they vetted those troops, not just for their ideological views, Ruth, but also for their appearance. And I don't know what that means, but I assume they mean they wanted them to mostly be white.
Yeah, and fit and white. No, this is obviously so dangerous. And all along, Trump has made no secret of that he has a different model of the military in mind. It's why he said to his chief of staff, General Kelly, that he liked the way that, Hitler's generals were with Hitler. And then Kelly had to remind him that actually some of the high officials tried to assassinate Hitler, but he's like, no, they were obedient. And so he has this image of the military as loyal to his person, which is not the way it's supposed to work. And, it's very sad because ultimately, even the storied infantry battalion of Marines who are very tough and served all over the world, and they are going to lose their integrity if they're asked to be, doing stuff to civilians. And so the military, when it's in all the stuff that I've written about, when a military serves an authoritarian, it doesn't have to be as extreme as Pinochet's Chile, where they were like literally torturing, civilians, but they lose their integrity and they come to stand for just oppression. And so it's a losing thing. He's putting the military in a very difficult situation. And that's why it's even more sad that that there's not more people speaking out.
Well, Ruth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Dulcie,
you.
thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And we will see you guys back here soon on the Don Lemon Show, on the Joy Reid Show, on the Jim Acosta Show. So thank you very much. I want to bring in now Reese Colbert and also Clay Kane to the stage. And there's a reason that I'm doing this. And I'm going to leave Jolly up as well. Jolly, put your face in here. Because what I want to tell
stay in there,
everybody
Jolly.
is that
you're our correspondent on the scene. We don't want to lose you.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
And I am going to be shameless here and say, you guys mentioned merch. We have a merch store. Our merch store is up and running because that's how we stay viable out here on these streaming streets. So, okay, so go to donlemon.com and check out our merch, or go to our show page on YouTube and you can get our merch there as well. Also, I just want to say, if you are watching us right now, you are watching all independent journalists up on the screen right now. And the reason, the way that we stay, I shouldn't say on the air, the way that we stay streaming is if you support us. So make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, make sure you become a member. You follow me, you follow Joy, you follow Jim, you follow Clay, you follow Reese, you follow Jolly on our Substack, on our YouTube, on our social media, because we give it to you without corporate influence. We don't have the big corporate support. And so, again, I am shameless. I will tell you, in order to keep the lights on, we need you guys to support us, become a member, follow us. And when we say hit the like and subscribe, it does matter because it affects the algorithm and people become aware of our channels. And let me just tell you, by the way, I've been doing this for over a year now. Jim has been doing it for about 4 months. Joy is new to this. What we're doing right now is extraordinary. We're doing network style coverage in independent media and giving it to you without filtering it through a producer and saying we got to do this, and we don't have to get to the fucking commercial break. Okay.
Come on.
And so
come on.
And so we're
I know that's
how
right,
you really feel,
Don.
yeah. And so anyways, you guys, I've said my piece. Delicious.
Yes.
But also, Don, keep in mind.
I was going to say to echo your point, Don, what a treat it is to be live with you and Joy at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I know we kind of talked about this at the top of this, but I just respect the hell out of both of you and the way you guys have just been fighters in this business for some time. And listen, I think we're all kind of made for this moment. And this independent media revolution that's happening in this country right now is made for this moment. This corporate media bullshit where they're, settling lawsuits with Trump. They're paying bribes to Trump. They're getting rid of correspondents because they tweet something in the middle of the night.
Yes.
And people are tired of this crap. And so the reason why they're going to support you, Don, they're going to support you, Joy, they're going to support me, support Jolly, is because this is changing right before our eyes. The landscape is moving. The tectonic shift is happening as we speak. And I think it's a very healthy thing for this country. It's very much in line with No King's Day. And I think these protests are going to continue. This thirst, this hunger, this craving for independent media, independent voices is going to continue. And so I just wanted to say that because it feels great to me. It's invigorating to me. Like I woke up this morning charged up because I was so excited to be with you guys and doing this today.
Well, I have to add my voice to that. I'm sorry. We're going to do our Mutual Admiration Society because look, I could never, listen, just a year ago, even I would not have been able to be on the same screen with Jim and Don because we were at rival networks, right? And the way the network system is set up is that it is this sort of, friendly rivalry, but we were all cool behind the scenes. But what you're getting now is the best of all of the coverage of all of the former networks we used to work with, all of our accumulated journalistic experience, but we can actually now do it together. And we can do it, as Jim said, without the filter of corporate bosses saying that you can't have this guest. I would have loved to book Jolly Good Ginger on my show. I would have probably gotten pushback because they'd say, well, he's from social media. Because I tried to book people from social media and it was always a fight. But now we're finding out that some of the best journalism is actually happening on TV, is one of the best out there. We have Clay who's doing this on radio and independently. And you can take these independent voices and look at this screen right now. You've got on the top of your screen, you've got 3 former cable news heads. And at the bottom of your screen, you have 3 of the best independent content creators in the world.
Yes, amazing. You said Reese, you're
bring them in though, because we do want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, and look, your feed cut out a little bit. We did say she said Reese, but it was when the feed cut out, Reese. But stand by. Jolly wants me. I think Jolly is a guest. Jolly, is that true? You're saying get to him. Stand by. We're gonna get Reese and Clay on it just a second. Go ahead, Jolly.
Yep.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, look, I want to show you something. So keep in mind, this is supposed to be a 250th Army birthday parade, right? That's how this was advertised. This is a parade to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday. This right here, this we're in front of, this is the line that you have to go through to get to the parade on general entrance. Look at this. Make sure we get the whole thing, Greg. This is a giant flag that says January 6th was an inside job. It's got another flag here calling J6 hostages. This is 100% Trump propaganda, conspiracy theory memorabilia at the general entrance of what we're being told is merely a parade for the Army's 250th birthday.
Wow. Can you talk to any of these folks and ask them about it?
Yeah, let's ask. Let's find somebody. Hey, what's going on, man? Do any of you guys have an opinion on this flag here? I'm curious what you think. This is an Army parade. What's the flag mean? I have no idea. Anybody have an opinion on that? Do you think J6 was an inside job? What do you think?
I can attempt to speculate. Yeah.
Can't attempt to speculate? No? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this flag is appropriate for Army birthday? What do you guys think?
No.
No opinion? Silence is compliance? Yeah? It looks like silence is compliance today. It looks like that, you know, although everybody here knows the truth, everybody knows this isn't an Army birthday parade, they're not willing to say it out loud.
Jolly, is anybody standing near the flag who might take ownership of putting it there? Any idea?
No, maybe I can ask this lady. Do you know what this flag is about here?
J6, political prisoners?
So J6 were political prisoners?
Yes.
Do you think that's appropriate to be up at the Army's 250th birthday?
Yes, I think it is.
Why is that?
What do you mean? Why should?
Well, so I'm an Army veteran, right? And
you're against Trump. So
yes, of course.
Really yeah.
So were you about to ask me if I'm really a veteran?
What are you, a liberal?
No, I'm a leftist, but what was that?
Exactly. So your views are not going to be the same as ours.
No, that's fine. We're not allowed to have different views?
You are,
Okay, I thought that's what I fought for, but I could have been lied to. No. Okay, so I did. Okay, so then, so my question is, what does a J6 flag have to do with the Army's 250th birthday?
It's because I'm here and I'm selling.
Oh, so this is your flag? Oh, I didn't. Okay, so that answers our question there. So, do you feel like that's appropriate and insult to veterans to fly something like this that has absolutely nothing to do with being in the Army?
So, part of the proceeds that I collect today, are going to Bart Scheibele. He is a J6er.
Got it.
He is right now on hospice. He's about to die. After this, I'm going up there to see him.
Yep. Okay. That nobody wants to see anybody die. I get that. But what does this have to do with the Army's birthday? I'm an Army veteran and I'm insulted by it. So I'm asking you.
Great. And I talked to 100 vets. Yeah. And I said, hey, listen.
Yeah, we're not a monolith, of course.
And does this insult you? And every single person besides yourself.
Right. So I'm 101, and 101 said it does. But I'm asking you. So did you serve? Okay. Did you serve?
No.
Okay, so then you couldn't even understand why a veteran would be offended by it.
Well, so
I don't care. I wasn't there with the 100 people you asked.
It's a great way how you have an interview. You ask a question, you don't get an answer, and then you just answer your own question. So goodbye.
What are you?
Jolly, I got a question for that guy. If he's still listening, why does he think January 6th was an inside job?
It's Jim Acosta.
That's Jim. I apologize. Jim, go ahead.
Why do you think January 6th is an inside job? We all
Why
saw
do you
what
think
happened.
the Gen 6 is an inside
I know
job?
January 6th was an inside job.
We're asking how do you know?
My discovery, for one.
Interesting.
How?
There were
What's the
permanent
discovery?
protests at. Oh, you can get my discovery. Here you go. It's live.
No,
it's
tell
on
us
a Google
now.
Drive.
No, tell us now.
Tell us what the
We don't
discovery.
need a Google
You want my
Drive.
discovery? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to
just
you right
tell
now.
us.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking
No,
to
it's-
tens of thousands of people. Just tell us.
My
now.
discovery was 1.75 terabytes not including the videos.
Of
So
what?
1.7. It was over 5,000 files.
But we're asking of what? That's all.
Of
Of
J6
what?
and
What's on the
how
video?
CIA was involved. How
No, sir.
there
The CIA
were
was
feds
involved in
inside
what?
of the
Can you ask
crowd.
him involved
There
in
were
what?
FBI agents.
None of all of this has been
There were
debunked.
FBI.
Let him-
There
no,
were.
guys.
Okay.
Please,
It's all been debunked.
It's not.
Just because I'm not rolling over and say, well, shit, you got 175 terabytes. I'm telling you, there was a commission by the United States government, January 6th commission.
Your commission's a joke, bro.
Why? Why?
Jolly,
Why?
let him go.
Here's the thing, Jolly. Why don't
Jolly,
you?
No, why
Jolly,
should
can
you?
You don't trust Trump either?
I trust
It's the government.
Trump. No, see, the great thing about
This is how cults work.
Hold on. The
Jolly.
great thing about Trump is, and you know why I was a supporter of Trump?
Was? Not anymore?
No, I was back then.
Okay. Are you still now?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I am. However, you know why I was a supporter of Trump back in 15 and 14?
Okay.
Because he pissed off both the Republicans and the Democrats. That's why I was a supporter of Trump.
Okay. What was your question?
Right, but
No, I just want.
I
wanted
mean,
to
my
hear
question.
What is
I
his
one of the questions.
expertise?
You
You
guys
just
are,
let him talk and tell
Why
him
does his
what.
possession of terabytes of data matter?
Yeah.
What is his expertise about January?
Yeah, good question.
What is his source of
Joy Ann
expertise?
Reid would like to know what's your expertise handling the data that you have on your 1.75 terabytes?
Common sense.
So basically he thinks he's a greater expert than all
Whoa,
of the
what cops are you
government
talking about
investigators.
that were killed?
You're just some
Hold on.
guy.
Whoa, whoa,
Who the hell
whoa,
is he?
whoa. No. Now you're changing the question. What cops were killed on January 6th?
Excuse
Ryan,
me.
the cops died as a result of it.
Hold on.
Can
hold
we
on.
wait?
What-
Can we
what-
just point out that the inside government at the time was Donald Trump's government? Donald Trump
Right.
was the president. when
It
January
was
6th
That's a
happened.
good point.
Nancy
He was over the
Pelosi. Hold on.
CIA when
Hold on.
January 6th
Hold on.
happened.
Hold
He
on.
was
Hey,
over the
hello.
military
Are
when
you just
January
all going to
6th
just speak
happened.
over each other or what? You asked
Did
the
you-
question.
did you hear her
answer.
point?
I did.
Let him
I
talk
asked-
for
What was her
a minute
point? What was
without
her point?
interrupting,
She
please.
said, well, it was Trump's organization. It was
Correct.
Trump's, okay.
His
So,
government.
now let me break it down.
All right, break it down.
Trump asked for Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser to accept 20,000 National Guardmen.
Not
Okay.
true.
sir. No.
Oh, and thank
Not
you for
true.
getting this because
Googleably
they're going to
not
cut it,
true.
edit
Like,
it.
it's
The
not
here's the
CIA
reality.
was
Right,
Trump's
so-
appointee.
We're live, dude.
Okay, great.
Here's the reality
So-
of the
So
situation.
no, and you're just going to continue to argue.
But
'cause you
when
like
does
this.
why would
That's
Nancy
what you
Pelosi?
do.
Okay, listen to me
We're not-
again. Why would Nancy Pelosi have any authority over the National Guard?
She is in
Didn't
charge
Donald Trump
of.
send the National Guard to
She
LA?
is in charge of the actual security of that day.
Why would Nancy Pelosi have
She
any?
is in charge.
Who's in charge of the security? Who's in charge of the National Guard? Who's in charge of the National Guard?
Mayor Bowser.
The president.
Mayor Bowser.
Wrong.
Mayor Bowser.
Wrong.
Mayor Bowser.
Wrong.
Jolly.
The president, the commander in chief, is in charge of the DC National Guard, and the governor of Virginia is in charge of the Virginia National Guard. You are just wrong.
The president said, "Let me bring in 20,000 National Guard."
My brain hurts.
Mayor
Maybe he
Bowser
should've done
said,
it.
"We don't want it."
This is factually untrue.
It's actually.
And by the
My
way, your
man-
president has proven that just because the mayor says he don't want it, he'll still bring in the National Guard. Because you know who also said they don't want it? The mayor of LA, and he brought those National Guard in without hesitation. So that's actually
Yeah, because
hindsight
you know why?
proof that you're
You know
telling a
why?
lie.
You know
because
why?
even
You know
though Mayor
why?
Biden
You know
said
why?
no,
'Cause-
he should have did what he
because
did in
the fucking-
LA
because
and
the
bring those
people-
motherfuckers
LA's
in.
fucking
And
burning.
he didn't, did he?
LA's burning.
Because of your president.
No,
It's not.
LA's
January
burning
6th would have
because of
never
Joe
happened.
Biden bringing in
Better
20
man.
million fucking illegals in 4 years. That's why
This
LA's
is factually untrue.
Okay, guys.
20
This is
minutes.
factually
4
untrue.
years.
All right,
You
guys.
can keep on saying it.
So basically, we're hearing the same we're hearing the same debunked, disproven rhetoric that we've been hearing for 4 years.
All right, here's what I
Yeah,
want
it
to say.
sounds like Jolly
Wait,
that this guy is. I talk about Trump derangement syndrome.
Okay, so
Yeah, he's asking, why do you have Trump derangement syndrome?
Why do I? Why do you?
Well,
I don't have it.
Trump derangement syndrome would be, despite having facts in your face, you still lick the boots of Donald Trump and deny facts.
Lick the boots. What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay,
What,
guys,
your hat says
here we
Trump
go.
2028, bro.
And everybody,
What does Trump
let me just-
2028 mean? That's not even legal. That's not even legal.
No, it is.
You know the Constitution doesn't allow for that, right?
Like, how would you
man.
It's not legal.
Guess what? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
I think I see Joe Biden support.
Two of them.
No.
Let's not bring kids.
Can you
Don't bring
ask him
kids
if he
into it.
believes
Don't bring
in
kids
moon
into it.
landing
Yeah, I didn't bring
happened or
Don't bring the
is it
kid
around?
into
I
it.
didn't bring anyone.
Hey,
And
Be a grown man. Be a grown man.
Cheese, sir.
Can we mute? Okay. So here's the thing, Jolly. Guys, I hate talking over. Sometimes I just like to let those people talk so that you can hear how they don't make sense instead of just jumping in on every word. And I know that it infuriates you, but I just want to hear him so then we can have a discussion about it afterwards. Obviously, he had no evidence. Obviously, it's a conspiracy theory. It is akin to QAnon. But now you see the perils of journalism when you go out on the street, as we do, and you actually talk to people. You hear this all the time, and it becomes extremely frustrating because they don't have the evidence, but they think they do. And people like Donald Trump and the MAGA cult convince them a lie is true, and it is not. So that was my frustration. That's why I wanted to jump in and just let him talk and then let him go, and then we could give the folks the facts. But go on. Are you guys speechless now?
No, John, I completely agree with you.
I'm trying to figure out what my
say something.
on.
I experienced this time and again out on the campaign trail when I would go to those Trump rallies, rally after rally after rally. And many of his supporters are trapped in a cult. They're trapped in an information silo, disinformation silo that is whipped up by conservative media, whipped up by Fox News, whipped by Donald Trump. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people in this country who are suffering from the same, I call it Trump derangement syndrome, when they just completely ignore the facts, as that man was doing with Jolly, and just spout these conspiracy theories. And I mean, the thing that has to be said, in my view, and I've said this on my show umpteen times, if Donald Trump had just been a man and accepted that he lost in the 2020 election, there never would have been January 6th. The Nancy Pelosi, National Guard, Muriel Bowser bullshit, all of that washes away.
Hey, Jim.
If you just go back to that.
Jim, you said it, and we were thinking the same thing. He's saying that the president of the United States did not have authority on January 6th to send in the National Guard. Right. The president of the United States did have authority to send in the National Guard to California for something that for throwing gas on an ember. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Donald Trump
is crazy.
Donald Trump is trying to test the law right now by sending in the National Guard to LA over the objection of California Governor Gavin Newsom. I mean, you're supposed to do it in concert with local authorities, in concert with the governor. And it states clearly in the law that he can't do that. And that's why the state of California is taking Donald Trump to court right now. And this is a very big moment, what's taking place in California, because if this goes all the way to the Supreme Court, you got to think that's what Trump wants to do. That's his get out of jail free club, the MAGA Supreme Court. If they give Donald Trump carte blanche, like they did with immunity, if they give him carte blanche with the use of the military for domestic law enforcement purposes, folks, that is not the United States of America that I grew up in. It's just not. And it's very disturbing.
If you listen to what that guy just said, even though obviously we know he's a wackadoodle and everything he's saying is perfectly false, the fact is, the reason it's important, some people say to me sometimes, Jolly, why do you waste your time on these people? Because those people are not few and far between. They're easy to find. I can come across them in rallies like this. I come across them at parades and Trump rallies. I've been to a lot of them. And the fact is, even though it's provably false, they're going to believe it. And you look at what just happened in LA. The mayor said, I don't want the National Guard, but he brought the National Guard in. But the narrative from January 6th is Trump said, here's the National Guard, and mayor said no. So like, is both sides of your mouth independently like have muscles? How do they move at the same time? Because you're literally debunking yourself in the same statement.
Yeah. Let's bring in Reese Colbert. I want to let Reese get in on this, and also Clay. Reese, first you, and then Clay. Your thoughts on just all of these things that we're seeing on today?
Well, child, it's a day. It's a whole lot going on. But the thing that is first on my mind is it's going to rain on your head. Because the storm is coming through on DC. All them tanks. I think that Donald Trump will be wearing a hat. He don't want his little hairline to get messed up. So I do appreciate that there's going to be a little bit of karmic justice in the weather and raining on this really ridiculous, frivolous parade. And it can't look any more frivolous on the day where we have politically targeted assassinations, when we have a Middle East conflict with bombs raining down on Iran and on Israel, and then we have protests around the country because of this authoritarian regime that has completely suspended the Constitution as much as they possibly can, while they have the audacity to parade the army around, where we have Marines in Los Angeles detaining a veteran trying to get to their veterans appointment, when we have a U.S. senator who was, violently attacked and thrown to the ground for exercising his oversight of duty. So this is supposed to be projecting strength when America looks like weak ass bitches right now. We are in complete turmoil. The president has no control whatsoever, and it's only going to get worse. And the last thing I would say is, I wouldn't care about that goofy ass man in them ugly ass overalls, those ridiculous boots, and that stupid cowboy hat, in his opinion, but for the fact that that side has the guns. So, do I need them to be anti-Trump? No, I just need them to calm down, simmer down a little bit. Okay, if y'all have your little group chats, whatever, but hopefully somebody is monitoring them, because when shit hits the fan, I want to be as far away from them as possible, and I want them to be as unweaponed or whatever, they just unmanned as possible, because that is dangerous. It might be funny to some degree. It is ridiculous, and I don't think we're going to win them over. But in this combustible climate that we have right now, it is serious business that these people have been indoctrinated to this degree. And that is my biggest concern. Not this stupid ass parade, not Trump's birthday. I will not say happy birthday. I hope you have the worst birthday ever. It's the state of America right now.
And by the way, though, Reese, they don't have all the guns. Some of the left have them too.
Yeah, they do, but
that out.
The wrong people got the guns. I've been saying this. The wrong people
Some
got
of
the
the
guns.
right people have them too. I'm just saying, not everybody on the left is unarmed. Let me get Clay in.
Yeah, the safe house just because otherwise.
There's more guns than people in America.
That is
well, first and foremost, happy birthday to Marla Gibbs. She is 94 years old. So I want to say happy birthday to Marla Gibbs. That is the only birthday in the Army that I am celebrating. 227, ain't no place like home. So I want to say this, and a lot of folks may be upset with what I'm going to say, but I'm on independent media, and we could say this. I'm happy to see these protests. It's great to see, but this is the energy that I wanted in November. There was a massive turnout for this protest in Philadelphia. Y'all know I'm from Philly. Don, you spent time in Philly. Philadelphia had some of the lowest voter turnout that we saw in November. There was just an election in Philadelphia in May. It had 16% voter turnout. So for everybody out there who is protesting, that's great. But if you didn't vote in November, you were part of the problem. We could have avoided all of this. This did not need to happen. And the one thing I'll say about that unhinged Trump supporter, he was crazy, he was deranged, but you know what? He voted. He showed up. This should be, and I thought people got it after COVID. I hoped people got it after January 6th. I thought people got it after 34 felony convictions. And here we are, the No Kings protest. We didn't need to be here. And I just hope wherever you're protesting right now, I hope you bring it to that voting booth. I hope if we have a serious election for the midterms, I want to see all these protests at the voting booth. We didn't have to be here. I have friends who are scared, friends who have lost their jobs, friends who are concerned about their Medicaid. And while this is great to see, I'm frustrated because we literally could have avoided all of this. Kamala Harris would not be doing this right now, would not be doing this. So it's great that you're protesting. And if you protested and voted, great. But if you're part of the 90 million, if you're one of the people because you didn't like the way Kamala Harris answered the question on The View, or you didn't like the way Joe Biden handled so-and-so, now look where we are. Iran, tariffs, Medicaid, waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're about to waste $45 million on a military parade in Washington, D.C. So this is cute, and that's great. But as I've always said, if you don't do politics, politics will do you. Bring all this energy to the next election.
Can I just say really quick?
Go ahead.
There's one more birthday that I is really important to me today besides the two that Clay mentioned. It's my mom's birthday too. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Jolly Good Mama.
I'm
Jolly
sorry she
Good
has the
Mama.
same birthday though. Oof.
It's okay. We can
Marla
only
Gibbs,
we
not
ignore
Trump.
it. We ignore it. We just like Marla Gibbs and Jolly Good Mama. That's all we care about on and the Army. Happy birthday, U.S. Army. I think that's such a great point that you made, Clay, because the challenge is for a lot of the 92%, and I know Reese is about to give me an amen on this, is that they look at days like today and say, as Black women, we voted 92% for Kamala Harris. And so a day like today will not include us. And I don't know if Jolly can tell us if he's looking at the demographics of these crowds, if you see a lot of Black women there. But you know, there's a great reluctance to get on board in these protests or to stand up for these undocumented brown folks when they know a lot of brown folks voted for Trump. And I wonder, Jolly, can you tell us, do you see a lot of diversity in the crowd today?
I mean, not in like you would expect, not what would actually resemble America. And to your point, Joy, I've literally been to Trump rallies all across the country, and those crowds are by and large predominantly white crowds. And in fact, I witness at the Trump rallies, they'll have the people that are working the rally go through and pick out people that are not white. Hey, you come stand behind the stage. Hey, you come stand right up front, because there's not enough diversity in the crowd for them to take the chance of it looking non-diverse. So they have to pick out the people that show up that's not white.
Yeah. And so, Reese, when you look at this and you see that, you know, and I've had a lot of folks in mind when I posted that this live was going to be happening, I did get some responses that said, miss me with that. I'm not supporting these people. America made its choice and it had nothing to do with me. What do you say back to folks who say that?
You know what? I mean, November 6th, 7th, whatever, I was like, y'all chose a side. Stand in and stand on business. Like, that's what y'all wanted. That's what y'all gonna get. Watch how it works out for you. So a lot of it is some I told you so energy. However, as a person of conscience, as a mother of a Black daughter, as a wife to a Black husband, this is something that very much concerns me. My citizenship is something that concerns me. The world my daughter gets to grow up in with climate change and all kind of shit. If she gets to still have bodily autonomy, you know, the police being empowered to have National Guard, Marine, all kind of people and shit now walking the streets. This is very much my fight too. Now, I'm going to Erykah Badu concert after this. That's why I'm gonna hop off in a couple minutes. So it's not my fight today at this exact moment, but in theory, it is my fight. I'm not gonna, philosophically and politically check out because this country chose this path. What I think my charge is, and what I challenge Black women to do, who do feel disaffected from the choice that was very clear cut, is to hold those closer to you. Don't turn inward and don't turn apathetic, but at least make a difference in your community. It's a lot of people talk about what they ain't gonna do. You don't need an announcement. You can go ahead and be peaceful. You can go to the concert with me, clap your fan, have boots on the ground, go to your Juneteenth picnics. But what you cannot do is don't go to sleep. Because the whole before the Republicans stole Stay Woke, we had it because we knew what was at stake. And so there is no comfort that anybody should feel, Black woman, Black man, any race, creed, anything. There's no comfort anybody should feel in the state of this country right now. You can mind your business all you want to, but Clay just said it. Politics is going to do you. And Black women have been on the forefront, and many of us still are. So I just want us to understand that as much as rejection that we felt, as much vindication that we feel for everything we warn people about happening, we still have to at least stay woke.
Amen.
Oh, may I just add?
Go ahead, Clay.
I completely agree, but I also want to add, when we think about the 92% number, that's the number of folks who came out to vote. But in Philadelphia, in Detroit, in a lot of areas in the South, what it appears early on is even our voter turnout numbers were way too low. And yesterday, I was working a panel with Jasmine Crockett for the late documentary on Barbara Jordan. And I think about, she was the first Black woman elected to Congress from Texas. And I think about the sacrifice that she put in and the advocacy that she put in. So I want us to show up, not to save democracy, to save ourselves. I was in Philadelphia the day before the election, speaking at the Community College of Philadelphia, where I once attended, and I said, something's wrong here. Something is wrong here. I was texting you, Reese. I said, something's going on. So I want us to also understand that these things are going to have an impact on us. And whether you're out there or not, if you didn't show up, if we have an actual election next time, I really hope that people get what's going on right now. I have friends, we're in Pride Month right now. I have friends in the Black LGBT community. You may have saw it too, Don. He said, oh, I'm not going to vote for so-and-so because of this. I'm not going to vote for so-and-so because of this. Look the Supreme Court. I mean, everything is on the line, and we didn't have to be here. Now, the 92%, the Black women and Black men that did show up, that's beautiful. But I want us to care in Texas. I want us to care more in Mississippi, in all these areas where we have so much power. And I want us to capitalize on the power that we have.
Yeah. Well,
and can I just add one quick more thing?
Yeah, one quick thing. You're right,
quick.
Clay. Yeah, well, you can add it, but let me get this in. I want to respond to Clay, and of course you can finish. You're right. And when I spoke to the folks out there, a lot of people were saying, I voted for third party, or I'm not going to vote at all. I'm not going to do this. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Sorry, Reese, go ahead.
No, a lot of Black people, I feel, and we're on Sirius XM, so we hear people call in all the time. A lot of Black people feel like this is more of the same. And that's why they feel like, well, we've been through it before. We'll get through it. We already know how this goes. This is not more of the same. This government is being dismantled brick by brick. So the things that our ancestors and people who are still with us today built to protect us so that we get to the point of comfortable where we felt like, well, we voted, that's all we had to do. When the people a couple decades ago, that wasn't all they had to do. They had to do a whole lot more. It is not more of the same. It is more dangerous than any point we have seen in our lifetimes. So this isn't just the same old racist America, the same old America where it's rigged against Black people. It's not. When they are dismantling, our healthcare, they're dismantling our civil rights, they're dismantling the programs that keep people housed, that put food on people's tables, people who work hard, people who have no capacity to get the money to afford these things any other way. That's not more of the same. When COVID happened, the government got in. They said you can't kick people out of their homes, whether they're renting, whether they have a mortgage. They said you get more unemployment. They said, okay, everybody gets free shots. That shit is over. That's gone. That's done. This administration has no intention of doing what the government has always been there for people, maybe not to different degrees, to do, to protect people from its own doing. So I just want people to understand this is not more of the same. This is not, I'm not saying it's not, it hasn't been worse in the past. But what they're marching down with Project 2025, 42% done according to Project 2025.observer, is not more of the same, people. It's not. That goes for Black people and everybody.
Amen.
Reese and Clay, thank you guys so much. Make sure you catch their show. Tell the folks where we can get you guys.
I'm over at Clay Kane. The Clay Kane Show airs every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And pre-order my next book, Burn Down Master's House. It's really relevant for right now. I'm burning it down.
Okay.
Yes. And
Amen.
I'm Reese Colbert on socials. I have the Reese Colbert Show. It just aired before I got on here. That's Saturdays on Sirius XM Urban View. I'm on Clay Show Tuesdays and Thursdays. Roland Martin on Thursdays as well. And my new game, Am I Tripping? Am I Tripping game is for sale right now. Okay. Thank y'all for having us.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We love y'all. Thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. Don, we got 2 more guests coming up. You want to intro them or shall I?
No, go for it, Joy.
Okay, well, let's bring on Margaret Wang, and she is the current president and CEO of the Southern Poverty Law Center, very relevant on today. And our dude, Elie Mystal. I take personal credit for his hair being as it is. He did try to cut it. He'll tell you the story separately. But thank you both for being here. I want to start with Margaret.
Hi, Margaret.
Thank you so much.
Hi,
I know y'all have
Elie.
been backstage a minute.
Hi, Margaret. Hi, Elie. Welcome.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey, y'all. Good to be here.
Margaret, talk a little bit about the context that we find ourselves in today. We did see tragic political assassinations in the state of Minnesota this morning, and then we will close this evening with a Kim Jong-un style birthday parade for Donald Trump with tanks rolling in the streets of America. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, Joy. We released our annual Year in Hate and Extremism report just 3 weeks ago, and we have seen just incident after incident of violence and repression since that time, all led by this White House. Of course, the assassinations that you talked about from earlier this morning. We've also seen the military parade and the threat to harm protesters who might object to this parade and this president's views. And we've seen the tearing apart of families, of immigrant families and communities across this country in really unspeakable ways. So this has all happened in the last 3 weeks and is really a reflection of the complete mainstreaming of hate and extremism into our politics, into the White House, led by this president.
It's really frightening. And, you know, Ellie, to add you to the conversation, we've also seen a use of the military that we've never seen before. It's been since 1965 that the National Guard has been deployed in American state, and that was to Alabama because of John Lewis and others being beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. But now it is to threaten, fellow California citizens if they dare to protest against ICE dragging people off to God knows where. But also we've seen what sure does look like a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. We talked to Glenn Kirshner about that earlier by having Marines literally in the streets of Los Angeles. Your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully I will say something that will get you guys kicked off of another platform. That's always my goal.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
They love us on YouTube and Substack.
I'm going to try my best. So I wrote about the Posse Comitatus Act in The Nation earlier this week. One of the things that people need to remember about Posse Comitatus, it's that it's a white slaveholder law. It is a law that was passed as part of the end of Reconstruction, meant specifically to prevent the president from using the military to enforce voting rights laws in the South. That's why that law is here. So when people say that this hasn't been violated or used since 1965, again, that's not exactly true, because when LBJ deployed the National Guard against the will of the state governors of Alabama, the way that he did that was to first invoke the Insurrection Act and then deploy the troops. The Insurrection Act short circuits Posse Comitatus. Trump hasn't done that because there is no insurrection. So even in the 1965 context, what Trump is doing is unprecedented. But Posse Comitatus does have, as I wrote, some holes in it, some wiggle room in it, because it's a slaveholder law, and during the 60s, both JFK and LBJ overcame that to protect the rights of Black people. I've been telling people all week, much as you might not like what Trump is doing now, let's remember, by getting around Posse Comitatus, that's why Ruby Bridges didn't get lynched on the way to school. That's why we just have pictures of people yelling at her, because we needed to have troops then. So one of the things that I've been doing, and one of the things I've been trying to do generally from 30,000 feet during the Trump administration, is to focus and look on how he is using power maximally. And then ask, maybe now that we've seen this, Democrats could do the same damn thing when they get power, right? So what he's doing right now with sending troops, I argued on your air that Biden should have sent troops into Texas to provide abortion services after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, because the military is not subject to the state laws banning abortion. That would have been an example of Democrats using power maximally. So that's an example of what we're seeing here. Trump always uses every shred of power and then some, every inch of power and then the full mile. He always uses everything he has to the maximum effect. Now, from my perspective, it's a horrible effect. But if this is the world we're living in now, right, and it's the world that we've been living in for well over a decade, and I could argue for over 2 decades, because Bush W also used power fairly maximally when he was in charge. So if this is how Republicans are going to play the game, if this is how Republican presidents are going to play the game, I implore Democrats, if they ever are allowed to get power again, which, given the fascism that we're seeing, I'm not sure that's going to happen. But if they're ever allowed to get power again, use power maximally. To quote one of my favorite movies, Ned Yost in Remember the Titans, you blitz every down. and you don't let the Republicans gain another yard.
Ellie, so let me ask you then, why can't Democrats do that? Why is the purity test so stringent on the Democratic side? Look who is leading the government now. People who are very flawed. People who if they were in the Democratic Party, they would not be considered. They would be banished to the back room. But some of them, let's be honest, they are the loudest and the strongest voices for their party, whether you agree with what they say or not. Why don't Democrats do that? Why can't they learn their lesson, Ellie?
Oh, Don, because if we did what they did, we'd be no better than them. Is their pathetic argument, right? Is that they think that the difference between Democrats and Republican is the structure in which we use power. They don't like to admit that the difference is in what we use it for. So the Democrats don't want to use every shred of power that Trump is willing to use for better means. They think that it's the use of power itself that is the bad thing, because they don't like getting into these arguments where Trump can say, well, I'm just using this to hurt people that most of my supporters hate, right? And so they think they're going to lose that argument. I'm saying we should use power to protect the people that we like, to protect the people that need protecting. That's why we should be using the power. That's why I brought up the abortion example. Don't send troops to face stomp protesters. Send troops to provide medicine. That is a Democrat maximal use of power. And that makes the Democrats not like them, even if they're using the same levers, right? LBJ sent the troops not to bust the face of John Lewis, to protect John Lewis. Right. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. But Democrats have decided that the way they play the game is the difference, as opposed to what they're playing the game for. And that is why the party fails.
Can I ask you, Margaret, because I know you have short time, but I want to make sure that I get you in here, because what we've seen in Minnesota is exactly to the point that Ellie is making. Democrats, including the governor there, just made a massive compromise that people on the right in right-wing social media are trying to use to shove off this shooter onto the left. Because one of the people that was killed, the woman who was the former Speaker of the House, voted with Republicans to repeal a law that allowed undocumented people in Minnesota to gain access to Minnesota's version of Obamacare. And that was the law since Obamacare passed. It is no longer the law, and Governor Walz signed that bill because it was a compromise. It's a very closely divided House, and I think like a 1-seat majority Senate. It's very close. Now, both of the lawmakers who were killed did not vote that way. The other gentleman, the state senator, did not vote for that. But the right is already running with it to try to claim that this shooter is on the left because, this woman voted with the right in order to punish immigrants, essentially punish undocumented people. And so they're trying to use that. It's bullshit because everything they say is bullshit. But what do you make of the underlying fact here that Democrats are more likely to vote for something that they don't even believe in, right? Even if it means that immigrants get less protection, and it doesn't even protect them from somebody who puts them on a hit list because they get on the hit list anyway. You see where I'm going? It feels like we're fighting a fascist movement, but Democrats are trying to compromise with it in pieces, thinking it will protect them when the worst of the worst happens, even when they give in and harm the people that they're supposed to be caring about. The bad things happen anyway.
You know, Joy, for a very long time, supporting civil rights and hating organizations like the Ku Klux Klan was not a partisan issue.
Right.
You didn't pick your side because you were a Democrat or a Republican. People knew what was right, and that was protecting rights for everyone. And people knew that those who tried to deny rights to people of color or women or the LGBTQ community, they were wrong. And somewhere over the last 60 years, we have gone terribly astray. We have only one party that is embracing extremist ideology. We have only one party that is pushing for a theocratic fascist state. We have only one president who is actively calling for violence, is promoting violence, and of course has pardoned violence by pardoning all the January 6th criminals who were prosecuted and detained and arrested because of their actions. There's only one party that's doing this. And so we have to be very clear where the threats are coming from. Whether a particular individual who does a bad act has a particular political affiliation doesn't matter in an environment where the president himself is calling for and urging violence on a daily basis. And that's the reality that we're living in right now.
Frankly, Joy, can we bring in now? Ellie, stand by.
Sorry.
I just want to bring someone in, and then I'll get you. I want to bring in Ezra Levin, who is in the waiting room, and I just want to bring him in. Ezra Levin.
I don't want to stop Ellie from. I want to hear what Ellie was going to say.
Oh, Ellie, Ellie's going to go right back to it. I just wanted to bring you into the conversation. Go ahead, Ellie.
Hi, Ezra. I was just going to say, if they find out that the shooter was a Republican, are we sure that Trump won't pardon them?
No, we're not sure of anything he'll do.
That Trump won't pardon a shooter who shot Democrats on purpose in this world.
We don't know. And I will note just really quickly, so I can just bring some news, since we're keeping y'all updated on everything that's happening in the country. Neither one of my producers just sent this to me. Texas State Capitol was evacuated after a credible threat toward lawmakers, and there was a credible threat ahead of the planned No Kings protests that were meant to be held Saturday in Austin. The Texas Department of Public Safety evacuated the Capitol. There were no further details, but we do know that several Texas lawmakers and members of Congress were scheduled to speak at that protest in Austin as part of the No Kings protest. So we're seeing already the reverberations from what happened in Minnesota. Ezra, go ahead.
Look, this is a president that instigated a violent attack on the Capitol, and given the first opportunity, pardoned those violent insurrectionists at the Capitol earlier this year. I think it's no surprise to us that this guy is not somebody who embraces peaceful participation in the political process. But what we know from the fight against authoritarianism worldwide is there is only one effective response to chaos and political violence, and that is broad-based, ideologically diverse, geographically dispersed, mass, peaceful people power. That's what works. So it is our responsibility in this moment to see that chaos and meet it with overwhelming, peaceful, organized, effective protest. And that's what we're seeing all over the country today with these No Kings protests.
You think this will be effective? Go ahead, Ellie. No, Ellie, go ahead.
I would just add that it needs to be sustained, right?
Yes.
One of the reasons why the Black Lives Matter protests in the summer of COVID were so effective until Biden won and then didn't pay them back. One of the reasons why they were so effective was because they lasted all summer.
Yeah.
It's because when people need to know that it's not enough to go out on one day on one weekend. You have to show up again and again and again and again and again. And it's the grinding of the protests that really start to have political winds change. We see it in every successful movement. It's not just one day of action. It's months of action.
100%. Look, a protest is a tactic. It is a tactic. That is not how you accomplish your goal. A tactic should fit in within a strategy, and the strategy is how you achieve your goal. And you are exactly right, Ellie. We need persistent engagement at the grassroots level from now until our democracy is secure, which isn't coming this week. It's not coming next week. It's going to be sustained over a long period of time. I will say this isn't our first rodeo. On April 5th, for Hands Off, we had then the largest single day of protest in 1,300 communities all across the world. Today, we were in 2,169 across 20 countries. So we are building a muscle. The movement is growing every time we show up and bring in new communities. We've just got to, I agree with you, Ellie, we got to keep on building.
Jim Acosta, your thoughts on all of this? And do you have, I want to let you weigh back in. Uh-oh, do we still have Jim?
There? Jim, can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Jim?
You can't hear us.
Uh-oh. No, I don't think he can hear us. Ezra, let me ask you this question. First of all, how did you get London to get involved in No King's Day? I mean, they literally have a king. What is happening?
Actually, Joy, what a funny thing that's happening in Ottawa, in London, in places where there are kings. What we saw is these local protesters, they put instead no tyrants. or no tyrannical kings. It was pretty.
No bad kings.
Yeah,
just
well,
good
I just want to give
I was in
Ezra,
Philadelphia with
a
Dr.
huge pat on
King's
the back
family.
here.
That's what we were doing, and so the crowd are
Can
shitting.
you hear me?
Okay,
Can you guys hear me right now?
More than these two kings.
I can hear you.
I
Can you hear
love it.
me?
Now we can hear you. Yeah, we got you now, Jim. Go for it.
I think Jim is on a huge delay. I think is what's happening. I think he needs to dial back in. So let's
Okay.
yeah.
Let's put Jim in the waiting room and let him dial back in because I don't think we got him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
no,
okay.
so you've gotten Ottawa and Canada. I mean Ottawa and London to agree no kings, but just the bad kind.
Well, here's the beauty of this story. I didn't get these people to do it. These are normal, everyday people who said, I don't want a tyrant. I don't want a king. What do I do in this moment? And this great thing happens when you create a framework where people aren't just consumers of politics, but they see themselves as active participants in politics. They start to do stuff. And that's what we need. That's what we need.
And the overreaction of the administration is also something that works to the advantage of the activists, right? I was in Brooklyn the other day, and I said to a crowd of predominantly white folks, don't forget that the kind of dumb, intemperate, racist, stupid white man that Trump is exactly the kind of white man Martin Luther King was looking for. That's exactly that. Trump is just Bull Connor 2.0, right? And there is value. There is dangerous. It's dangerous and it's frightening, but there is value from an activist perspective of going up against the government that is inclined to overreact violently to your peaceful protests. It is what turns, to go back to something that Clay was talking about earlier in the previous segment, it is what turns those 100 million people who sat on the couch. It's what makes them understand that they have to choose a side. Clay was kind of saying, like, if you are protesting but you didn't vote, that's a bad job by you. I am sure that everybody out there protesting today voted. I am sure of that. Protesting is the harder thing to do than voting. I'm sure most, 90% of them showed up to vote. It's when you see these protests and when you realize that you're sitting on the couch isn't allowed anymore, because now you have to choose a side. That's what worked so well for the civil rights movement. That's what worked so well for the gay rights movement, right? Once when the racists and the supremacists start violently overreacting, that's what gets people up off the couch, right? So that's it. I hate to say that because I'm not putting my black ass out in front of the tank, right? Like, right? Like that is not my highest best use, but there will be people who do that, and there will be martyrs made in these moments from this violent, aggressive president, and that is also part of the reason why fascists overplay their hands, because they go straight to the violence and straight to the oppression, and it's what helps these movements grow even larger.
I mean, there are martyrs being made right now. There are martyrs being made right now. They are disappearing Americans. They are taking kids off of the street. They are surprising families when they can't get in touch with their kids at universities because they find out that they've been taken to an ICE facility and they can't reach them. Trump is overplaying his hand right now, Ellie. I think you're exactly right. One of the reasons we saw the protests today be as large as they are is because people are talking about that overreach. So for those of us who are fighting for democracy, this is an opportunity, because folks who before maybe even might have agreed with elements of Trump's immigration policy, or maybe were interested in blowing up the system because they don't think politics works, right now they're being turned off. And it's our responsibility as organizers to welcome them into this movement and say, great, you weren't with us before, but you're here now. Let's build together.
Jim, can I ask you a question, Jim Acosta? I want to ask you really quick about the media's role in this, because I think one of the things that when you talk about how that Ellie mentioned, the regime goes too far and fascists go too far. I feel like they messed up on LA and they messed up on California. While we were there, it only takes about 10 minutes of being in Los Angeles yourself as a journalist. Do you guys remember that time when it was, and unfortunately it was an NBC News reporter, was supposed to be reporting on a flood? I can't even remember her name, the poor young lady. And she was standing in about 3 inches of water. And when you zoomed out, you realize, ooh, what she was doing is kind of bullshit, right? It was embarrassing, but it's like the media, it keeps playing the same picture of the same electric vehicle burning and that one guy standing on top of a car. And they just keep, and then if you watch it long enough, you're like, oh, wait, that's only this, you're showing the same footage. Because you go 3 blocks from there and there's nothing happening. And meanwhile, you've got the ICE agents from this regime in the parking lot at Disneyland to the point where that's getting out. There's no gang members in the parking lot at Disneyland, just tourists. And so as they start to overdo it on LA, do you think that might finally trigger the media to go, okay, this is bullshit?
That was Michelle.
Yeah, it's a great question, Joy. Honestly,
for CNN as well. That was Michelle Kaczynski, who worked for NBC.
Yes.
Ended up working for
Michelle Kaczynski.
CNN as well. But go ahead, Jim. And I want to ask a question. I want to talk about California too when you're done, Jim. Go ahead.
No. I mean, the thing I was going to say is, listen, what Joy is saying is absolutely right. It's the curse of the cable news control room. It's sort of like, well, what do we go to next? Let's throw up some wallpaper video of a Waymo on fire. Right. And the message that is sent out to the country is that, oh shit, all of LA is burning to the ground. It's Rodney King all over again. For Christ's sake, people, get a hold of yourselves. Try to report the news as it is happening in the world of reality. And I think one of the reasons why people are turning to independent media, people are tuning into us today by the tens of thousands. People are showing up in the streets to support Ezra's efforts and the Indivisible organization's efforts to have these No Kings protests across the country, is that people are tired of being trapped in sort of this dystopian information bullshit loop. And what people want right now is the truth, the fucking truth. And the fucking truth of the matter is that Donald Trump is trying to be a dictator in this country, and we the people are not going to take this lying down. We the people are going to stop him. And we're going to do it in part by giving people the truth. And I have to, I'm sorry, pardon my language. Perhaps it's been a long day and it's getting a little salty in here, but you know what? Sometimes people need to hear it. And my attitude is that when free speech is under attack, the solution is more free speech. And I want to give a huge pat on the back to Ezra and his team's efforts today. I mean, I was out there earlier this afternoon, right out in front of St. John's Church, and it looked a little chippy out there. I was concerned that things were going to go sideways, and guess what? It didn't. And people were heeding the warnings that the last thing you want to do at this point is do something that plays into Donald Trump's hands. And I think people are wising up about this, and it's exactly what Ezra was saying a few moments ago. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Donald Trump is not going to be deposed today. He's not going to be dethroned today. But you're absolutely right, Joy. A big chunk of this, a huge, massive chunk of this, it's the reason why people are flocking to Don, flocking to you, flocking to independent media sources, is because they are fed up with what's being spoon-fed to them by these corporate media outlets that let's be really honest about it. Donald Trump has cracked the code to hurt them and to put them under his thumb. And people are figuring it out. And I think that the truth is coming out, Joy. I really do think it is. And it's one of the reasons why you're seeing people out in force today, because they know what the truth is. They're wise to this. They understand what the stakes are. And what Clay was saying earlier is right. Yes, people should have voted more. They should have been on the couch and so on. But, it's that old line from Jurassic Park, nature finds a way.
That's right.
And I think people right now are waking up to the reality of the situation that we're in. And we're in it for the long haul here, folks. And Donald Trump has laid the mousetrap. He's laid the trap out in front of us. He's hoping we'll spring the trap. But the problem for Donald Trump is we went through this with him the first 4 years. We saw him lay the traps the first 4 years. We're smarter now. We're more sophisticated now. We're on to him. We're on to Donald Trump. We're on to him. And so the trick is, I think, over the next couple of years, is just to continue to be smart, work together, mobilize, and continue to bring the truth to the American people.
I'm a little bit more cautious than you guys are, and not quite as optimistic. I'm a glass half full person. My glass is half full. I cut my camera off to go get a glass of water. But let me just tell you why, because I'm out in the streets a lot, and I go out and I talk to people. And I think that you're right, Ezra, that, this is an opportunity. But I'm a little bit concerned when you say that, this is, whoever said that this is really good for Democrats or people who don't support Donald Trump. The Republican Party thinks is Donald Trump's actions over the last couple of since he's been in office, and obviously over the last almost 10 years now because they've elected him twice. They like this. They like this strongman approach. They like what he's doing in California. And so while, you know, we sit here and maybe they sit around on cable news panels and they say, oh, look at all the people who are out there. We've seen, you remember the Pussy Hat one demonstration, the Women's March after, right? Lots of people out there. And then all of the you know, excitement and people thought that folks had galvanized around Kamala Harris. And then all of a sudden you see she loses. We can talk about that in the, you know, whether we thought it was rigged or not, but whatever. But I am just not as optimistic because I think there's an apathy that Donald Trump sort of pushes out into the ethos and into the universe. And it captivates and I think it diminishes the enthusiasm of Democrats. And I think, and I know that it empowers Republicans or MAGA people. So I hope that you're right, Ezra. I hope that this is an opportunity, but I have seen this movie before and I'm really nervous and afraid that, you know, come 2028, we'll see Donald Trump, if not a version of him, back in the Oval Office, or at least during the midterms, we will see all of the people who we don't want elected into these offices elected again.
Well,
Can I just say, Don, real quick, because you know, I'm generally a glass half empty person, even though my name is Joy. My name is super ironic, and so I tend to be very pessimistic. I don't believe in this whole trust the voters thing because they just literally will let you down every time, like the Knicks. Damn you, Knicks.
Well, Joy, remember during the election when I'm like, Joy, I'm hearing a lot of Trump.
No, I know you were saying that she was going to lose, and I was like, no, I think she's going to win. So that was me being unusually optimistic. Okay, I knew Joe Biden was going to win because I know how people feel about their money. And Donald Trump messed with their money in his first term because he caused the recession. And generally, people vote their pocketbook. And I knew that's why I knew Obama was going to win, especially when he put the old white guy Joe Biden on. I was like, yeah, he's going to win because George W. Bush screwed the economy up so much that, you know, white folks were like, you messed with my money, and they just vote like that, right? But in this case, I have to say I'm a little bit more on Jim's side on this, and I'll tell you why. Because what's happening is that immigration over enforcement is messing with people's money. You now are seeing people who own construction companies say, whoa, hold on a second. You mean you're going to deport my workers? You're seeing farmers say, whoa, 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 these tariffs, hold on, no US aid? That's where I sold my stuff.
But he's changing it, Joy.
No, it doesn't matter because what he's not changing is he's on the drug of mass deportation. He's let Stephen Miller run completely wild with his administration. And Stephen Miller must have had every Latina girl in his high school turn him down because he seemed to really hate them people. And he's obsessed with them, right? It's an obsession. And I think that I do think they've tipped over they've gone a little too far in the aggression because now Kristi Noem showed up to the deportation of a pregnant woman. They're taking Dr. Phil with them on ride-alongs as they're deporting people. It's becoming a joke to where people I know that are not political are talking to me about it. People who are not really Trump haters are like, what in the hell is going on? People find out LA, they're at Disneyland and they go, what? And I think that I don't think Democrats have done a single solitary thing to make themselves more attractive to voters. I think they are completely incompetent in their response to it. But in this case, the Democrats are just going to be the recipients of people's desire to stop the bleeding. And so I don't know if we're going to have free and fair elections. I don't necessarily trust that we're not going to have our elections undermined to the point where no one can vote. In 2026, I think Trump will try to stay in office. In 2028, I think he won't leave willingly. I don't know what kind of a crazy constitutional crisis we're in. I think we're in a Poland moment. I think we're in a like the guy in El Salvador. He ain't leaving. He's supposed to be gone too. So I don't think we're going to be rid of Trump, and I don't think Trump can be replaced. JD Vance can't be Trump. This is a cult of him. It's his cult. He's Jim Jones in this bitch. You know what I mean?
And Marco Rubio wants it too, and they ain't gonna go for Marco Rubio.
His name is Marco Rubio.
They're not going for it.
Never.
I'm sorry.
I've been telling people.
I don't think
never. His name is Marco Rubio. No matter how he tries to hate his own people, he brown, and he's never going to be president.
I'm going to tell you guys this: JD Vance is a shapeshifter, and I would not be. I would not.
JD Vance has no code.
I know at this
Well,
point.
that's why if we could go to our friends in Denmark and say, give us Northern Greenland. Give us Northern Greenland. Let Donald Trump, Don Jr., J.D. Vance, he can bring his eyeliner with him.
Send him over there.
Carve that out. There's a lot of white up there. It may be snow, but there's a lot of white.
A white ethno
that might be attractive to them.
And by the way, Don, can I give you one more piece of data before we go? I know we're supposed to leave. Joe Rogan is starting to criticize Donald Trump's immigration policy.
There you go.
That is a signal.
Candace Owens is criticizing his freedom of speech on college campuses. So I mean,
and you've got Tuckums going at him on letting Israel start World War III. They see something in their own listeners that's going askew. Yeah. So that's a sign to me that Trump ain't on a winning page at this moment. We just have to see how much destruction he does before he goes into his dotage. Fully.
Can I play something? I want all of us to respond to this because I like hearing from the people, okay? And so I'm going to play some things that you guys have talked about in all this discussion. I'm like producing in my phone here. I mean, you guys, everybody's like, why is Don not talking? What's he looking at? So this is a man from a family from California that I want you guys to listen to, okay? Here it is.
How do you guys feel about what's happening with the protests in Los Angeles?
Well, first of all, it breaks your heart. And then you come outside of Los Angeles and you see what people are seeing on the news and how it's not reflective of what's really happening. Somebody just poked the beehive and made it what it really isn't. You know, it's very ingrained community. And so it just breaks your heart and it's unnecessary.
What do you mean poke the beehive? Who did that?
The administration, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller. There was no reason to go in there and do that. Yanking families apart, tearing cities apart. It's bad for this country. It's bad for all of us.
What do you think about what you did?
There you go.
I 1000% agree. It's awful.
Was there any reason to send in the National Guard or the Marines?
Zero, none. It made everything worse. It made people panic. It makes the country turn against LA. There was absolutely no reason to do that. That's what I mean by poking the beehive. He just stirred everything up for no reason.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Go ahead, Jim. You were shaking your head.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm telling you, I agree with what Joy's analysis was saying about, people, their ox getting gored, economically speaking, because of the mass deportations and so on. But I also do think at the end of the day, and I know it sounds Pollyannish and so on, I do think there's a decency in the American people that is going to reject the cruelty and the harshness and the nastiness of these mass deportation roundups. And I've been saying this on my show, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. The biggest lie of the 2024 campaign is that we're going after the gang members and the criminals.
That's right.
And they're rounding up abuelas. They're rounding up mixed status families. They're knocking out windshields and car windows and dragging people out off to the ICE detention centers. And people are absorbing that information. They're absorbing those visuals, and they're saying, I didn't sign up for that. And that maybe I voted for it, but that's not what I want. And that's not who I am as an American. And I just don't think we're that kind of people. I just don't see it happening. And I think unlike Nazi Germany, unlike 1930s fascism that we saw in the 20th century, we have these. We have TVs. We have media around us at all times. And when that cruelty is put up to our faces, I think by and large, human beings, no matter their nationality, reject that kind of cruelty. Stephen Miller, when he goes to his bat cave at night, hangs upside down and drinks the blood of puppies that are killed by Kristi Noem, he may be okay with all that shit. But most Americans are not. Most Americans do not want that kind of shit going down in this country.
Yeah, I mean,
Jim,
he's no Nosferatu, so of course he feels that way. But and I have to say one more thing really quick, John, and I'm going to... Oh, go ahead.
Send Jim a letter and tell Jim that he's going to be suspended from this network pending an investigation on his.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I should have tweeted that.
He goes
instead.
down like Moran, yeah, and big ups to Mr. Moran, who's gone independent as well. But no, I have to say, Cuba, the leader of Latinos for Trump, is now condemning not just Trump but Marco Rubio, there are signs up, there are billboards up in Miami calling Rubio a traitor, because he's turned on his own Venezuelans and Cubans, and he's claimed there is a rapper. My favorite story in this whole nightmare is El Funky. El Funky is a rapper from Cuba who's been very anti-Castro, and El Funky is about to get deported. And El Funky is a big Trump supporter. And if you go deport El Funky and you're not seeing Marco Rubio step forward to defend El Funky, I think he might have his case stalled. I think he might be able to stay in the country. But all of El Funky fans are like, whoa, we didn't start this. And so I think you're right. And lastly, if Stephen Miller, Nosferatu, and friends don't start showing Fox some gang members soon, if they don't start showing mass murderers and cannibals soon, they're only showing people who work in restaurants. They're showing abuelas, they're showing mommies, daddies, pregnant women. That ain't enough. And sending Dr. Phil to watch the mommies, daddies, and abuelas get deported and watch, construction workers get dragged off construction sites, being at Disney, those pictures ain't gonna help. I used to work in local news. We've all worked in the local news business. They thrive on images, and there's no images of gang members to show.
That's what MAGA wants. That's what the people who support Donald Trump want. They don't care. The cruelty is the point.
I agree with that. They don't care. The base, his base doesn't care.
What the Cubans in Miami are thinking, Joy, to your point, I do. My dad came from Cuba in 1962, 3 weeks before the Cuban Missile Crisis. He came to a country that was much more welcoming than what we're seeing right now. Yeah. And to think that the Republican Party is going to turn back on refugees coming to this country, seeking asylum from totalitarian communist countries. I mean, Ronald Reagan, the whole bunch of them spinning in their graves out, because that is some fucked up shit that is happening right now to the Cubans and the Venezuelans right now. And I have to think minds are being changed in Miami. It might not happen overnight, but I think it is starting to happen.
Can I weigh in here? And I want to play this because do you guys know, and look, Jim, that many of the immigrants who are here don't even believe that they are immigrants. Do you guys know that? They don't consider themselves. They don't consider themselves immigrants. Andy, can you play the guy in the baseball cap with the Golden State T-shirt on?
Are you an immigrant?
No, I am not.
You're not an immigrant, but you said you lived here 45 years.
Yeah, well, I came here with my visa.
You came here with a visa?
Oh, absolutely.
So you're an immigrant?
Probably.
What do you think about the protests going on? They're happening all over, but mainly in California.
Horrible, because, there is a lot of people breaking windows, ripping off stores, and I think it's horrible.
Yeah. You think, does it seem like a big thing that's out of control to you when you see it?
Yes, absolutely. And it's going to probably get worse by the 14th.
Yeah. Do you understand? Do you realize that it's like just a small area in Los Angeles that it's happening in?
No, it's not. It's not all over, but there is, a specific part of the city that is going on right now. Yeah. That is what I think,
What do you think about the military parade happening in Washington, D.C.?
I don't agree with it.
You came over from a visa. Where did you immigrate from?
From Chile.
Why not Chile?
I love my country, but, I'd like to be here much better than Chile because there's more action here. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Also, we have the right to protest here, which is why it may be desirable for you to come here.
Probably, yes. This is a very difficult situation. There is different viewpoints from people,
Could you protest in Chile like that?
Yes, you can, and there is a lot of nasty protests going on in Chile very often, which I don't agree because they just destruction, you know what I mean?
Why are the people protesting in Chile?
Because the politicians, they are most corrupt politicians everywhere you go. So
corrupt politicians everywhere you go.
Sure, everywhere you go. I've been in France, I've been in London, in Spain, and everywhere is the same story,
But that's why people are protesting here as well.
Maybe, yes.
So I say that, Ellie and Ezra, I played that because now we understand why there are many Latinos in this country who support Donald Trump because, number one, they don't consider themselves as immigrants, especially if they went through the process, as they say, and they came here legally. They consider the immigrants to be the undocumented people.
You want to start, Ezra, and then I go?
Well, there are a lot of threads here that I want to pick up on. And one, Don, you were saying that you've seen this movie before, that we've been through this before. Look, Kamala Harris lost. Donald Trump won it again. How did we get to where we are now? Obviously, we're going to face this same challenge. 2025 is not 2024. The moment that we're in now is not to relitigate the 2024 political environment. The way I view it, the status quo lost in 2024. The status quo is not an option in 2025 or 2026. Donald Trump is bulldozing through our society and is steamrolling over public opinion to implement the least popular political agenda I've seen in modern American history. When you talk about, forget about all of the immigration and attacks on our freedoms, cutting Medicaid has a 15% approval rating in any congressional district in this country. Marjorie Taylor Greene's district doesn't support cutting Medicaid by more than 15%. So I disagree that we've seen this movie before and we're destined to just lose again because we lost in 2024. What I saw in 2017 when protest was the new brunch was the largest midterm margins in the history of the Republic that produced a blue wave. I don't think you can look at 2024 and say protests like we're seeing in the streets now are not going to have immediate political impact. And I got to be honest, I'm not thinking about 2028 right now. I'm trying to live to fight another day. We cannot guarantee we're going to have free and fair elections. What I do believe is something Joy said. I don't think Democrats are doing very much to help themselves right now. They are the beneficiaries of overreach and deeply unpopular agenda by this administration. But where we are headed is somewhere I'm very troubled about, because I think we are the odds-on favorite to take back the House next year. And I also think Democrats are entirely unprepared to use the power they will win in the House of Representatives when they get there. What is Hakeem Jeffries, if he becomes speaker, going to do on January 4th, 2027? I don't know what the hell he's going to do. I would bet nobody on this panel knows, because we're not talking about it. Where are the subpoenas going to fly? When are the hearings going to start? What kind of testimonies are we going to see? Who are they going to haul in front of Congress? I don't know, but we should be talking about that right now, both so that it happens, but also so we send a message to everyone around the country that this era of blatant autocratic overreach is temporary and is going to be replaced by an era of accountability, because I want people changing the behavior now, not in 2027. And we've got to push the Dems to start adopting these positions right now.
So I agree with Don in that I absolutely think that the violence and the authoritarianism is what Trump's people voted for. They are thrilled. They are titillated when he sends in the military, when he sends into the Marines, when they crack skulls. This is what those 77 million people voted for. And it really is a situation of promises made, promises kept. He promised he was going to run. He was going to govern like an authoritarian bully. He is governing like an authoritarian bully. And his people clap like seals every time he does it. So I look at 77 million as the bar. We have to get over 77 million. Trump, I do not operate from the perspective that Trump is ever losing votes. I only operate from the perspective, can we gain enough votes to overtop the votes that he has? And I see Ezra shaking his head like, I would hope that he's losing votes, sure, but I'm not strategizing around Trump losing votes. I'm strategizing around getting more votes than he already has, right? And that brings me to my second point about the utility of these protests and the potential utility of Trump's violent overreach, right? I was at an event earlier this week, and a person said to me, that kind of classic you're in public event, oh my God, Ellie, everything's so terrible. I feel like I just want to jump off a bridge. And I was like, don't jump off a bridge. If you got that in, you lay down in front of a tank. Because that's actually make your death useful if that's where you are in your life right now, right? Because that is the kind of energy that we're kind of seeing today, that we've kind of seen in the past, as Ezra was talking about, and Trump's overreach might make us see that more and more and more and more. And when you look at how authoritarian regimes fall, Ezra was saying they always fall through massive protests. He's exactly right. Massive power of the people protest. But they also fall for another reason. And it's something that I've said ever since Trump was reelected. It is easy to inspire people to violence. It is easy to get people to hate and get people to be willing to punch their enemies in the face. Trump can do it. Quite frankly, the Democrats can do it if they could get their head out of their ass long enough. They could do it too. But the thing that breaks regimes is when people are not just willing to fight, they're willing to die. It's when you've got those protesters in Selma that are willing to die for it, not fight, not go, everybody wants to get in the boxing ring. No, these people were willing to lay down their lives to stop the fascist regime in the South in the 50s and 40s and 30s. And when we get to that moment here in this country, I don't know that we're there at that moment right now, but I can see it from where we are. We can see it from where we are. And when we get to that moment that people are willing to die to stop him, that is when the regime breaks. Right now, I still think that our biggest ally in this moment is the Big Mac, right? Like at some, we're one coronary away from having you know, a different kind of conversation. Right? So I'm rooting for the big man.
I will tell you, Ellie, Fidel Castro lived a very long life.
I was just going to say.
You can't count on the quarter pounder with cheese.
No.
Right?
And by the way, the more evil you are, the more the devil props you up and keeps you alive. Donald Trump does not eat vegetables, and he's
right
alive.
now our biggest ally is the mortar coil. But
Ellie, here's what
the biggest ally is
Ellie and Ezra, we gotta go. We gotta go.
Let you go.
Okay, Ellie, to be continued. To be continued.
It was a great conversation. Thank you very much.
Can we get one more live report from Jolly Good Ginger before we wrap this puppy up?
Go for it, Jolly.
Yeah. I wanted to give you guys some breaking news. This brings me the most joy. I'm in DC right now. The skies have turned very morbidly gray. Rain has started. And it occurred to me that in this white Christian nationalist movement, that God is quite literally about to rain on his parade. So breaking news, God hates Donald Trump.
I'm looking down here. There's a lot of people walking by the White House right now. So you might be right, Jolly. I think they're leaving the mall as we speak. You might be right about that.
Let me just say this. It was an honor and a pleasure to work with all of you. I appreciate and respect. Do you guys know what we did?
This is pretty revolutionary.
Yes.
This was cool.
I got to run.
Stream-a-palooza.
It was an honor for me to be a part of it. I appreciate you guys so much. All three of you guys.
Can I tell you, Jolly Good Ginger, I've been obsessed with you for a very long time. It's been so much fun finally getting to talk to you and have you on as our intrepid correspondent in the streets of DC. You can do that anytime on any of our shows. I think we all agree you're a fantastic correspondent. And a gentleman. We appreciate you all. But I got to say, Jim Acosta, I'm a super fan. Don Lemon, I'm your shadow publicist. You two are the best in the business. And I'm so glad that all three of you were able to be here. And this was awesome. This was an honor. Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Joy, you're amazing. Jim, you're amazing. Don, love you guys.
Thank you. Jim, bring your doggie next time.
I will. I got to bring
my dog's upstairs. Yeah, where's Nala? Oh, there she's here. Nala.
Fail on my part.
Yeah.
My dog's asleep. We put her to
guys.
sleep.
And so, Andy,
love you guys. Love you, Joey. Love
give me
Don.
the full screen of the America Fights Back. You have been watching America Fights Back with Don Lemon, Joy Reid, and Jim Acosta. And I'm just so happy that we did this, and I appreciate all of you for watching. Thank you to all of our new members, and we'll see you next time. And I always say, put it back on me here, us here. As I always say when I leave this feed, okay? You guys know what I say. You don't have to sit in front of the television all day. You can be informed without being inundated. You don't have to sit in front of the TV and get the outrage porn. And here's what I want you to do. Turn the TV off. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never, ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.